thought you were in Dubai.
I was.
The difference is just 1 hour. Why are you getting confused?
Huwezi nielewa.
Tafutaje Musa history tunajua mimi naye. Unamaanishaje? See the fact that mamake alitoroka.
I have a lot of things in my mind, and the name is the least of my worries. Can you serve me breakfast? As long as you're disrespecting your mother, I do have a problem with your stay here.
But you just came the other day.
Are you hiding something from me?
What?
Yani wewe na yule manga yako bado hujatoka kwenyewe.
Hapana, kuna noma nayo.
Huwezi ongea nao kabla hujapita kwangu.
I will not allow your egocentric megalomania to drive me crazy.
They say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Good morning. Welcome. Third day of June 2025. My name is Victor Lowe, and we are glad that you are up and early once again with us on Good Morning Kenya after a very long weekend. I hope you had it well. To the people of Homa Bay, you did well. You celebrated well. The entire nation also celebrated. That was a good function. Karibu sana to Good Morning Kenya. Later on in the program, today we'll be talking about Siasa Chess Game. Siasa Chess Game. What is happening in the political arena? Politicians are all angling for different positions ahead of 2027 general election. Kingpins are also aligning themselves. Political parties are also being formed. Friends are also meeting in different places for political discussions. And I want us to take a look at that. Atieno Gola, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, author, KANU, NEC member, and ADR practitioner will be here with me. Francis Kaviu, Deputy Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly, is also going to be here with me in studio, as well as Wanjiku Thiga, National Youth Leader, DCP Party. The three will be here so that we can do that at exactly 7. Modu Kirinyaga. What at ya? Desperate patients.
Yeah, we do that a lot. Good morning to everyone who is watching KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe, and of course, the show is well packaged for you, and thank you for tuning in. Later on in the program, we'll be looking at matters health, and today we are looking at the state of dental health in Kenya. Dr. David Kahura Mundia, who is the president of Kenya Dentist Association, will be joining me in studio to talk about this in detail. So I invite you to be part of this live broadcast. Good morning, Marie.
A very good morning to you, Mike and Victor. So how was...
Good morning.
Victor Sema, you seem to have a lot to say this morning.
What did you say?
You seem to have a lot to say this morning. Fungua
Yes.
roho.
Sema ikutoke.
Sema. Sema.
No, were you in Homa Bay?
In spirit, yes, but I wasn't there in person.
Oh.
No.
I know that's your home county, so I thought
exactly.
a historic event was happening, so you should not have missed
Just
it.
how people slept in the stadium waiting for the event.
Imagine.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was kind of like surprised. 9 o'clock in the night, they spent the night there.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that is just to show you how excited people were. And it's a good thing, I think, that the government started, just taking these national events to the counties, so that those who have never really experienced it in that big, because remember the counties also, carry out their own Madaraka Day celebrations.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it goes there, the president is there, it's a national event, it's normally a very different aura, if I might call it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm proud of Homa Bay, my home county also, and I do not want to talk about what Governor Wanga is doing, but we in the county know. When you know, Victor. Exactly. Asanteni sana, thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Marie Yambo, and top in the news this morning is that police arrest 7 suspects and recover an AK-47 after a shootout that killed 1 officer and injured 2 others. And leaders urge government to declare Kerio Valley a dangerous zone during Father Alois Cheriot's Requiem Mass. And Gor Mahia and AFC Leopard settled for a 1-1 draw in a tense clash in Homa Bay, leaving fans with mixed reactions. I'll be bringing you details of that Mashe Meditabi in this bulletin. We begin with the news that police in Nakuru have arrested 7 suspects and recovered an AK-47 rifle following a shootout incident that left 1 police officer dead and 2 others nursing serious gunshot wounds. Nakuru County Commissioner Layford Kibara says the officer was killed during a dramatic shootout with armed criminals on Sunday in Bondeni area. The shootout occurred as police were pursuing a gang of armed criminals believed to be behind a spate of crime in the area.
Police in Nakuru say they have apprehended 7 suspects linked to the fatal shooting of a police officer in Bondeni, while 2 other officers suffered gunshot wounds. 3 suspects were apprehended at the scene, while 4 others were arrested at a lodging in Tahidis area, where they are believed to be hiding.
The journey yesterday was not the best because we had the exchange of fire with our police officers, and in the process some were injured, but luckily we have gotten the firearm.
Nakuru County Commissioner Layford Kibara says following the arrest of the 7, they led officers to a location where an AK-47 rifle believed to have been used by the gang in their criminal activities was recovered.
Because we also want to know the source of hizi risasi tuko nazo hapa. So you can see now at the point mahali tumepata ikiwa imebakisha risasi 3.
The gang is reported to have opened fire on the officers on Sunday who were pursuing them, leading to the shooting incident.
And out of the shootout at around 8:30, we were able to track the entire night the systems of these fellows in a place hidden where they could keep the firearm in a place near a Kalonjing there.
Kibara warned criminal elements that they will not relent in protecting lives and property, pledging to dismantle criminal networks within the county. Among the suspects in custody, 6 are foreign nationals and 1 is an ex-convict.
These guys are from Kuria, Tanzania. The 4 or 5 of them, but with accomplices in between here, and one of them is an ex-convict who was released from GK prison here in Nakuru.
In a statement, National Police Service spokesperson Michael Nyaga sent a message of condolence to the family of the fallen officer and wished a speedy recovery to the injured officers. The suspects will be arraigned in court on Tuesday.
This is Hashim reporting there. Now, still on security matters, calls are mounting for the government to officially declare Kerio Valley a dangerous and disturbed zone to pave way for disarmament and the flashing out of criminal terrorizing residents. Speaking at the Sacred Heart of Jesus Cathedral in Eldoret during the Requiem Mass of Father Alois Cheriot Betts, leaders demanded accountability and justice over the priest's killing. Father Betts will be laid to rest today at the Olesos Parish Cemetery in Eldoret. Ben Chumba reports.
The Sacred Heart of Jesus Cathedral in Eldoret overflowed with grief as hundreds of Catholic faithful, clergy and loved ones gathered for the Requiem Mass of Father Alois Cheriot Betts, a man deeply cherished and respected by the community he served until his final breath. Voices rose inside the cathedral calling for the Kerio Valley, long plagued by cycles of violence, to be officially declared disturbed, paving way for disarmament and the flashing out of criminals terrorizing the area.
Pale Mount Elgon tulikuwa na shida ya SPLF. Serikali ikagazeti We need to gazette Kerio Valley as a disturbance zone so that we disarm and flush out criminals that are within the community.
Calls for accountability and justice grow louder, especially since Father Bet's death comes just weeks after another Catholic priest died under suspicious circumstances.
It is so sad. Tunapoenda kupumzisha padri wetu, hakuna mtu anatuambia kama hawa watu wameshika.
Haijapita dakika 10 kutoka kwa misa na hakukuwa porini, alikuwa katikati ya majamii zetu. Kwa hivyo tunajua kati ya hata Wakristo wetu, labda kuna baadhi ya wale walijua ama waliona. So basically aliambiwa anajulikana, lakini hajashikwa. Because the community hawajatupatia mwenye aliambiwa Father Royce, we want to ask the government to take over and get the person who killed Father Royce.
Watoke wawache na kukana gansi ambako wawachane na kansi kabisa. Kama hataki aende mbinguni.
Why don't they put money and irrigate that land? Kerio Valley can feed the whole of Kenya. It is one of the most fertile places we have. So we have to do something. And it cannot be business as usual.
Meanwhile, across the green hills of Nandi, a group of 24 elders gathered at Mount Matambach in Aldai constituency. Here, tradition met tragedy. The elders recreated the priest's final moments in a symbolic mock-up only to destroy it, breaking it apart and burying it in the ground, as if to say, never again.
Hatutaki fujo kwa Kenya. Vijana, kaeni kwa amani. Vijana yetu, kaeni kwa amani. Watu kuua ni mbaya.
Around the mountain, they walked and prayed for unity, for safety, and for the kind of Kenya where no servant of God has to die for doing good.
Tumesanyana hapa wasee 24 na wengine wako nje. Hakuna mtoto hapa, hakuna mama hapa. Tumetoa kilio yetu, tumepiga makoti chini, tumetoa viatu. Na tumefaa vitilie tofauti na pimbo ingine sio ya vita. Tunaambia Kenya yote wawache kumwaga damu.
Tumesikia watu wa Mungu wakiwawa bure na tena nchi yetu ya Kenya. Tunaomba tena viongozi wa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mungu asaidie.
On Tuesday, the body of Father Bet will be taken to St. Michael's Terige High School for public viewing and a final funeral mass. Following the mass, a solemn procession will escort Father Bet's body to Olesos Parish Cemetery, where he will be laid to rest.
Indeed, our condolences to the family, friends, and relatives of Father Bet. Now, human rights activist, that is Boniface Mwangi, and Ugandan journalist activist, that is Agatha Atuhaire, want action taken against Tanzanian police who they say subjected them to torture and other human rights violations. Following their detention, the duo recounted in graphical detail their days in incarceration, with Mwangi saying he was forced to strip and was sexually assaulted. They now want the police officers involved in their torture arrested and prosecuted.
What was meant to be a trip to attend a court hearing of Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu was facing treason charges.
Then they took us to a building. To this place where they're going to torture us.
Tanzania is not allowing nationals into its country. Why were you at Tundu Lissu's trial?
Will quickly turn into activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan journalist and activist Agatha Atuhaire being arrested. And today the duo will speak out against the incident, saying they were subjected to serious human rights violations.
In certain objects, we do certain objects and pull it
You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's in front of you in your, complete nakedness and all.
The two say they are yet to heal from the trauma they encountered while in detention.
And they told me to strip naked. And I stripped naked. When I stripped naked, they removed my handcuffs. And then I was grabbed by about 4 men, and they lifted me up so fast.
The day I had dreaded, that I had known would come someday, was coming in Tanzania, where I hadn't done absolutely anything, not even go on the street to protest, which is also right, but...
Revealing details of their incarceration, Mwangi and Agatha shared their traumatic experiences in Dar es Salaam.
So we were put on an upside position where my legs were up like this, my body's up, I'm stuck naked. And then they started beating my feet. So they would beat me and massage my feet. Beat me and massage my feet. I was screaming so hard, I couldn't even, there was no tears coming out because of how painful it was.
The public officials were not afraid at all of being the ones to call thugs, to send us to thugs to do what they did to us. And for me, that's a level of impunity.
They say they were held in Comunicado for days before being dumped at the border points, Mwangi at Horohoro on the Kenyan side and Atuhaire at the Mutukula on Ugandan side.
I did not give them my phone. I didn't even have a phone at that particular moment, but they said that they're going to teach me a lesson I'll never forget. At that session is where they said they're going to rape Agatha. That guy called my phone and said he's going to rape Agatha.
It had already been clear these are not people who have come to talk to you for a conversation where you can even beg or whatever. No, they had come with one instruction: inflict as much pain as you can.
The activists have now vowed to take legal action against the Tanzanian security officers. Boniface Mwangi and Agatha left their respective countries on May 18, 2025, in a bid to support Tundu Lissu, who is facing treason charges.
To other news, where the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee is this week set to table its report on the suitability of the 7 IBC nominees following the completion of the parliamentary vetting process on Saturday. Members of Parliament will either give the nod or give a form for the formal appointment or reject the list or amend the list, that is. This comes even as a 3-judge bench prepares to begin hearing a case challenging the nomination process of the proposed commissioners. Gladys Mungaya has details of the hurdles facing the appointment of the commissioners who, if approved, are expected to oversee the country's general election in less than 2.5 years.
Erastus Edung Ethekon.
The journey to the establishment of the next Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission inched closer Saturday after Parliament completed the vetting process in one day. This now sets the stage for the committee to write its report and table it in Parliament this week for debate. The committee's report is expected to guide Parliament's final decision, either clearing the nominees for appointment or recommending their rejection or changes of names.
I don't think I'll be biased. It's my nature not to be biased because I discharge my duties professionally. And I want to believe at any time, at any point in time, each and everyone here must have interacted with a party.
But even before the House can act, the process is facing a legal hurdle with the courts, having given a nod for vetting but stopped the swearing-in ceremony, pending a court process challenging their nomination. On Friday, Chief Justice Martha Koome constituted a 3-judge bench led by Justice Roslyn Aburili, Justice Chigiti Mugwimi, and Justice Andrew Mwamuye to hear a petition challenging the legality of the nominations. The case filed by activists Boniface Mwangi and Kelvin Roy through senior counsels Paul Moite and Douglas Otieno questions the legality and constitutionality of the ongoing IEBC selection process. The bench is expected to hear the case daily, owing to the urgency of the matter. IEBC has been operating without commissioners since early last year after the term of the commissioners ended. Pressure is mounting for the appointment of the commissioners to begin the process of preparing for the next poll. It is now a game of wait and see what is next for the nominees, as both Parliament and the judiciary sit this week to dispense with their agendas.
Thank you, Gladys Mungai. The Institute of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, has raised the red flag over an increase in quirks in the sector, increasing safety questions in the industry. According to EIK President, that is Engineer Shama Kiteme, the institute has no say in policy decisions involving capital-intensive projects in the country. EIK saying there is need to have a convergence on policy implementation by all players in the sector to ensure integrity in the sector is not compromised. They spoke during the first Women Engineers Convention at Sabwela Lodge in Naivasha.
As the engineering sector grapples with the integrity and representation issues, leaders in the industry are now calling for policy reforms, greater involvement of local experts, and affirmative action to boost the participation of women in the profession. The Institute of Engineers of Kenya have decried the growing number of unqualified individuals masquerading as engineers, a situation they say is contributing to the alarming rate of building and infrastructure collapses in the country.
We have no say in key policy decisions as engineers, and for that reason, mega contracts are signed by the Treasury without our involvement. Engineers are considered spanner boys, only good at implementation and not conceptualization.
Mama Ida Odinga, the CEO of Spectre Limited, who was the key speaker during the Women Engineers Convention, noted that due to limited local opportunities, many qualified engineers are being forced to seek jobs in other African countries.
Expertise that we have, that we've learned here, let us use it internally here to create and improve our lives. It takes a long time to educate engineers, to make the engineers. Let's not export our brains. Let's use them here first. And when we are satisfied we have done everything we need, then we can export.
Low number of women engineers employed in the country is also an issue of concern, with the institute noting it's working closely with the government institutions to increase the number of women engineers in employment.
Women represent less than 20% of the engineering workforce in Kenya, and an even lower proportion in leadership and specialized technical roles. This is unacceptable.
This comes as hundreds of engineers across the country decried increased marginalization in the construction industry, accusing major contractors of sidelining qualified professionals in favor of cheap, untrained and unlicensed workers.
We want to champion the rights of the specialist contractor and make sure that they're not marginalized when they're doing projects, they're not left out of the conversation, and that they have a voice in the industry. That is why we are here today, and we look forward to making a difference and having an impact within the community that is construction in Kenya.
John Kahiro reporting there. To matters education, where school dropout and absenteeism among students have become issues of concern in arid and semi-arid regions owing to prolonged periods of drought. Hunger among learners is leading to disruption of learning and is affecting academic performance of students in ASAL areas. In response to this challenge, the Child Welfare Society of Kenya and the newly established State Department for Children Welfare Services has initiated a pilot school feeding program in select counties to address food insecurity.
The agency, which is mandated to protect and promote welfare of children through the Emergency Student Support Program, is targeting learners in day secondary schools across Baringo County. With free meals in school, more learners will focus on studies, helping them stay away from early marriages, crime, among other vices that could disrupt them from pursuing their education.
Tungekuwa tunafaa kwenda nyumbani kula chakula, but instead ya hiyo tunakaa shule na tunakula. Sasa imetuwezesha, yani imerahisisha masomo yetu kuwa simple.
Previous 2023 KCSE result, it was 3.9, and the last year of 2024 it raised up to 4.6. because of the presence of food.
Kama wanafunzi wanatoka, for example, ndio mafamilia iko chini sana, low background, pia wanaweza kama wamemiss chakula yote tu kwa home, they can get in school.
In Mogotio, over 4,000 students across 23 secondary schools have benefited.
These students have been going home many times for lunch fee. Since you people gave us this food, they have not been going to home for fees. We've never sent them for fees, especially for lunch fee.
Has also brought down something like absenteeism, because when they are sent home for fees, some may go there and stay for long.
The reason why we chose to assist this county of Baringo is because, one, is an ASAL county where sometimes there is no food in families, and two, there being no food, it means even children would drop out of school.
The intervention is said to be rolled out in Keio South, Elgeyo Marakwet and Nyanza region.
Thank you, Nancy Okware. Now, a wave of emotion swept through the PCEA Kikuyu Church in Kiambu County over the weekend as two lovebirds, both with hearing impairment, exchanged their matrimonial vows in a radiant wedding ceremony. Joseph Karienga and Esther Wambui were united not by spoken vows, but by language of hands that is, and hearts, in a moment that left a mark on all who witnessed it. Let's get the details of that spectacular wedding.
Waiter wearing a radiant smile and Esther Wambui, a salonist, were joined in a holy matrimony in an extraordinary wedding ceremony. Both Karenga and Wambui are deaf, but their love spoke louder than any words could. As they walked down the aisle, elated families, friends and the congregants, including the deaf community, welcomed the couple in a powerful and heartwarming testament of love transcending beyond physical limitation. The two lovebirds did not need to say a word to express their love, but with every step to the altar and every gentle touch, Karenga and Wambui demonstrated to the world that love does not need a voice to be heard. Through interpreters, the two shared the various challenges they have encountered, especially in a society that often overlooks the physically challenged.
Sisi wawili tulianzia aje our relationship. Tulikuwa tuna communicate kwa simu on subjects za shule na kuconnect. Na mimi pia nilipomtongoza na akaona ni vizuri tukue pamoja in a relationship, akadecide tuende kwa wazazi wake na tukaenda kwa wazazi, na ndio hata saa hii tuko na hii harusi siku ya leo.
However, through gestures, understanding and shared glances, the two have remained resilient and hope to share a future together no matter what lies ahead.
Nitakuwa na shukrani sana kwake, mtoto mwenye ako sawa na mwenye ako na ulemavu, wote Mungu akinijalia itakuwa tu sawa kwangu. Kuna matumaini ya kupata mtoto, na Mungu akitubariki na mtoto mwenye pia hana ulemavu ni sawa, na akitupatia pia akiwa na ulemavu pia itakuwa tu sawa. Hata sisi pia tumeweza kukua tukiwa wawili na bibi yangu, na sioni shida.
And by the end of the day, Karenga and Wambui officially began their love journey woven with faith and hope, with a clear message to the world that love only needs truth and commitment, and that disability is not inability.
Vile tungependa kuhimiza wazazi ni wale ambao wako na watoto differently abled, watoto ambao tunaita PWDs, wacha kuwaficha, toa mtoto, ujui kile Mungu amemwekea huko mbele.
Thank you, John Kahiro, for that report. Now let's look at sports, where Bernard Wanyama scored a second-half equalizer for AFC Leopards to dent Gor Mahia's chances of retaining their FKF Premier League title. The 1-1 draw at the Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay leaves Kogalo, who are also hunting for the Mozart Bet Cup, 6 points behind leaders Kenya Police with 2 matches to go this season.
The FKF Premier League season may end too soon for Gor Mahia after they failed to collect maximum points against AFC Leopards in their second Mashemeji derby of the season played at the Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay. Kogalo were hoping to beat their arch-rivals Leopard and hope the title race will go to the last day of the season, and were leading at halftime thanks to an Austin Odhiambo 32nd minute goal.
Aliyepewa kapewa. Mpewa hapo konyeki. Austin Odhiambo.
Their lead only lasted for 5 second-half minutes before Bernard Wanyama leveled for Leopards, who held on to the final whistle to collect a vital point that keeps them firm in 6th position, while denying Gor Mahia 2 points that could have narrowed the gap between them and leaders Kenya Police to 4 points.
Wanyama ana ujumbe anaotuma ule. Anarudisha Ingwe mchezoni. Dan Shikanda Daktari amenyanyuka na amefurahia kweli kweli. I belong to Jesus.
The result means that a win or draw for Kenya Police against Shabana on 14th June will hand them the title before they face Gor Mahia in their final game of the season.
And that story by Barclay Feather brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you once again for always starting your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. Good Morning Kenya still continues. My colleague Victor Lowe is already in studio. You've already seen him when we started the show together with the guest. He'll be talking about politics on People and Politics segment here on Good Morning Kenya. So stay with us if you can. My name is Marie Yambo.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check. From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
You in Dubai? I was. The difference is just 1 hour. Why are you getting confused? Huwezi nielewa.
Tafutaje Musa story tunajua mimi naye. Unamaanishaje? See the fact that mamake alitoroka.
I have a lot of things in my mind, and the name is the list of my worries. Can you serve me breakfast? As long as you're disrespecting your mother, I do have a problem with your stay here.
But you just came the other day. Are you hiding something from me? What?
Yani wewe na hiyo manga yako bado hujitoka kwenyewe.
Hapana, kuna noma nayo.
Huwezi ongea nao kabla hujapita kwangu. I will not allow your egocentric megalomania to drive me crazy.
Bring back my daughter to me.
Hey, Kisaka. Kwani unazungumza peke yako siku hizi? Is Grandma Kathy in the house?
Yes, talking to Auntie Mimi.
Oh, really?
I don't want to hear from you. This is all your mess. Sasa tumepoteza huyo mtoto na huyo msichana.
What are you doing here, Millicent? I'm sure you didn't come all the way to give me parental tips.
Thank you, boss. Usiwahi niite jina tena. Nilikwambia nini kuhusu familia, boss?
And welcome back. Good morning. It's now 8 minutes past 7 a.m. All right in time for Good Morning Kenya. It's now time for People and Politics. Let's talk about some politics before you leave your house for work. And if you get late, please don't blame me. It is all about the show. It's interesting. I have in studio Atieno Ogolla, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. She's also an author. She is a KANU NEC member and ADR practitioner. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you after a long time.
Yes, sure.
Where have you been? Please tell us.
So
the viewers missed you.
Good morning, everyone. As the presenter has said, my name is Atieno, and I have been working very diligently to produce books that will actually help the legal landscape and the country at large.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
You'll tell us about that shortly.
Yes.
Francis Kaviu, who is a deputy minority leader, Machakos County, will joining us shortly in studio. But then Wanjiko Thiga, national youth leader, DCP party, she's here. Wanjiku, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you for having me. This is my debut.
Much busier. I know right now, you said you're only 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the age.
DCP is the new kid on the block, and we're impressed that the expectations are very high, and we are looking forward to meet them.
Tell us more about the expectation.
For me, and what I am really excited about is the young people's intention and anticipation on joining political party activities. And what I am really encouraging young people is first to register as a DCP member, and then we can engage. Yes.
What is a day like as a national youth leader?
My day, media engagement in the morning. Then I have to check in on Facebook because I have a lot of DMs, and it's young people across Kenya asking how they can meaningfully engage with the party. And also young people who are also doing a lot of ground activities, you know, being active on the ground, talking to people about DCP party, and also, which is really impressive, is selling their candidacy for 2027. Besides that, and then there's going to office, meeting young people for the lined up meetings for the day. And there are days where we have meetings, like today we have a meeting, an official meeting. And then in the evening, having meetings out of the office meetings, again, with a lot of young people who are interested in running for office in 2027 and seeing how we can collaborate to meaningfully engage along the electoral cycle.
I can imagine, when you talk about KANU, Mzee Moi said, KANU tatawala milela milela. Is it 100 years?
Yes.
We're not yet 100?
Not yet.
Where are we?
No, you see, one thing we have to appreciate about KANU mentored a lot of the leaders that we are seeing today, all the way from Mwai Kibaki, the current President Ruto. So KANU has been a good training ground, and that's why we will rule for 100 years, because we mentored all the leaders that we are seeing today.
In fact, you can authoritatively say that most of the current leaders we have passed through KANU.
Yes, there were officials at different times,
including?
Including President Ruto himself. Yes. So,
So, being a NEC member, looking at the number of youths, she's also talked about involving youth in the political landscape. How is it changing? Are we seeing an upsurge of youth getting more interested in the political space, or is it left for the people who have been there for quite a long time to dominate and run the show?
Yes, you see, after the Gen Z protests last year, it was very clear that youth are now engaging meaningfully in politics. They are aware of the environment that they are finding themselves in. So there has been a great push to ensure that the youths are in political parties, because you see, you can't organize, you can't be able to meaningfully contribute to discussions if you're not in a political party, okay? So youths have been encouraged through different political organizations and now the political parties to join. So I'd like to invite all the youth of Kenya to join KANU because KANU has proved to be the most stable party. You know, since independence, we've been there. We are open to mentorship of young leaders who are interested in vying in 2027. So as a party, one thing we are actually doing is reaching out to youth from all classes of people, whether you're at the campuses, at the grassroots, because we recognize that it's the youth who are actually the majority of the Kenyan population, even in Africa, and they're the ones to decide how they want to be led.
But changing their mindset about politics is one of the hardest nuts to crack. I mean, telling someone, can you go and vote? Now, having just an imagination of, you know, standing in the long queue, for us, we are okay with that. Okay, but telling a Gen Z to go and queue for 2-3 hours and just cast that ballot and come back, mtu anasema, hiyo ni kazi ngumu. How are you, working around that to change the perception? Because just casting your ballot is one important civic duty. In fact, the moment you cast your ballot, there is a feeling you have that you have contributed to the national development. How are you planning to change that as youth leaders in different political parties, Wanjiku?
Yeah, indeed, it's an important task, and the reason why you see a lot of young people are really not impressed with this regime is because they also did not vote for it. They did not participate. There was a lot of voter apathy in 2022.
Yes.
I ran for office in 2022, and I remember when I went to vote myself in, and on the line, I did not see young people. It was just the older generation.
Yes.
And now, after 2024 Mandamano, young people understood why the person is political, why they must now contribute to the leadership in 2027. And you've said that they have to line up for 2-3 hours. It even takes longer.
Longer than that,
people wake up at 3 a.m. to go and queue, and then, it opens at 6, and
there's
people
a problem with the biometric system, the ballot boxes not arrived. So you end up, number one in the queue, you end up voting at 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've seen the cost of not going out to vote. And for me, my biggest task is not only to convince them why they have to vote, because they have seen the reason why they need to go out and vote. What I need to do is to explain to them why they have to belong to a political party. If you don't belong to a political party, then where are you going to exercise your voice? Your political voice. Political voices are exercised through political parties. And then let's talk about the nomination process in the election year. You cannot be able to vote in leaders if you don't nominate them. A nomination goes through political parties. So young people have to understand that the whole electoral cycle, because they really came into contact with politics in 2024. So they are very junior at it. And it's our role as youth leaders in political parties to explain to them, to demystify what it means, to why you need to belong to a political party. Because most of them, you meet them and they tell you, I will run independent. But you tell them, have you ever seen a presidential candidate who's independent? You see,
that's a big question.
Yeah, you see, the country runs alongside systems, and these systems exist for a reason. And for us, what we need to do is to get into the systems and run them. We can't run the system when we're outside. So we have to get into political parties, and not necessarily just to run for office, also to organize and mobilize. Also to, we have to be tactical and have a strategy. So even to also support other young people who are running for office, we show up for them and nominate them to run for office in August, because they also have to clinch party tickets. And today, it's truly honest that Kenyans still vote along party lines. So also, let's make it easy for the young people who are intending to be in office, both in county assembly and national assembly, in 2027. Let's support them within political parties, because political parties are infrastructures that support candidates. And running as an independent candidate is really tasking. It's truly tasking. So let's make the process easier for fellow young people.
Yeah. Yes, Wakili.
Yes, for me, one thing I'd like to say is that after the protest, the Gen Z protest last year, the youth clearly understood that politics affect every single area of your life, so that if you don't vote, it means you're allowing a regime that does not have your best interests at heart to be in power. You see, because you see, the issue that led to the protests was just about the bread and butter, your basic needs. Yeah. So right now, I'm so sure the youth understand the importance of going to the ballot and voting. And even if you saw after the protest, they were still following up on legislations that were in parliament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it shows that right now, and you remember they were saying this were the youth who are coming to town through the Ubers and the KFC.
The iPhone 16 Pro Max and all that.
So these are learned youth
Yeah.
that we are dealing with, and what we just need to emphasize is that your vote really does count, and I think there needs to be now the push to be able to do voter education, to be able to ensure that the systems, the electoral systems in place are actually working. We need to restore confidence in the electoral system, because if we don't, that's why we're seeing in Africa there's a lot of civil war. If we are not having faith in our democracy, then the alternative is war. Yeah, so we need to tell the youth that you need to come out to demonstrate that you actually believe in the systems, and also we urge that the new commissioners really try to ensure that the electoral system is working so that the country can be in harmony and we move on.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason why I raised that, because when you're talking about the political chess game, which is our today's topic, political siasa chess game, because we are going to see an upsurge of different political parties ahead of 2027. But then now, these political parties are going to have friends, what we call friends, political friends. This party talking to the other party, this person talking to the other person. So when you look at it this way, I'm trying to imagine, then you have got several, how many political parties do we have? Almost 92 political parties.
Yes.
And we are going to see more being registered. Every party is going to have a candidate for 2027. And they are going to be having, you know, tea meetings. We just met for a cup of coffee and a cup of tea. That is what you're going to see, the political chess game that we are about to experience in the country. How do we include the youth? Because there's that bracket, and then now's the Gen Z. So how do we bridge that gap between the Gen Z and the other bracket? Wanjiku?
It is true. We're going to see an upsurge of new political parties coming into play. Our party leader has been keen in letting us know that this is something that is going to happen.
Yes.
For us, we see it as a tactic to withdraw the support that DCP Kenya has really been able to marshal. We're not saying it's not... for example, the TIFA results were not fully announced. We know that the presidential beat was not announced, and we know
the latest results
from TIFA.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we know it's because that the numbers are looking really bad for the president, for President Ruto. And what we are saying is that as DCP party, is that we need to see truly what is happening, what we know what, because at the end of the day, data is important, and the TIFA results is what's going to share with us. But we've already seen the anti-broad-based sentiment from different regions of the country. But for us as a political party, and I say we are 3 weeks old, but the expectation is very high. We know that, especially when we come back to the mountain, public trust was already cut off, because most of the legislators from our end voted in their own self-interest and self-gain. And we know that when we frustrate the idea of collective gain, then public trust is withheld. And now for us, like for DCP party, and I know it's following, and a lot of its members, they have a lot of issues with trust and accountability, because our leaders showed us that it's about self-gain and self-interest. And you see, when people go out to vote, they usually get into a social contract with their legislators. But what happened in reverse during the impeachment of our deputy president, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, it was the legislators not following the social contract that they were given. And from then on, there has been lack of transparency and accountability. So for the new political parties that are coming up, already people are having distrust with them. And for our party, we've managed to really amass trust and following from our people, because we
Within 3 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
But we cannot say just 3 weeks.
That's a lot.
It's that it's been, people have been waiting for the political home to be formed. So when it was, when we unveiled, people now came and registered to the party because it was something that they were waiting and longing for. And it's something that people asked for. They told our party leader, we want a political home. We want a political home where we know we can trust, where we know that our issues are going to be listened to. Our clarion call is Skiza Kenya, Skiza ground. So we are listening to the Kenyans. They are speaking about the economic rights. They're talking about social justice. They're talking about, even right now with what Boniface Mwangi and Agatha went through. They're talking about the abductions that are going through, and every day we've seen members from DCP party going through a lot of abduction issues, repression, intimidation from state. So we know other political parties are going to come, but they're here to really cut off the momentum. Other stable parties are...
It's quite imperative to note that when you have got political parties, Wakili, because political parties are actually meant for political reasons, either to win power, to negotiate for power, and to sign that political social contract with the voters, when Chico to speak. Not when Chico, Chico the voter. But then, does the younger generation really understand the real DNA of joining a political party, the real reason of joining a political party?
Thank you for that question. And I think in the course of our discussion, we are clearly bringing out that as much as, yes, previously, before 2024, they didn't understand the importance of joining a political party, now I am sure they do. Because even after the Gen Z protest, you see it has really fizzled out. There needs to be a structured way of engagement. You see, that's why there's some people saying that there are people who sold them out after the Gen Z protest. You see, but then we need to keep up the momentum. And what is the recognized way in our Kenyan constitution of engaging in political activities? It's through political parties. That's why there was the repeal of Section 2A, so that we can have multi-partyism. So now our role as youth leaders is to educate the youth and continue encouraging them to join political parties so that they can be able to engage meaningfully. Now, when we talk about the youth participating in political parties, and now what you've talked about, the surge of political parties, what I can say is that, as you said, political parties are formed as a means of mostly negotiating power. And in Kenya, every election brings out new political parties, and you're seeing I'm sort of seeing almost like an abuse of Section 2A, because we need to have stable parties, what we see in the US and in the UK. And if I want to talk about KANU, I will keep saying KANU ndo chama ya baba na mama. And one thing the youth need right now is a leader they can trust, because trust is the, let me say, the currency in politics. And if you look at...
Is it youth or
Kenyans at large, because...
But what is the brain of a young Kenyan who is about to vote, who has voted once? Let me just call them a Gen Z. What's in the mind of a Gen Z when it comes to politics?
So because I have Gen Z siblings, I can tell you for sure that, and even I interact with youth in different parts of Africa, what I can tell you for sure, youth want hope. They want a country that works for them. They want systems that will encourage their growth for the years to come, you see. And that can only be through leaders who actually show that they have their best interests at heart. You see, for example, you cannot claim to be wanting to support the youth and the activities. Yet right now we know technology is the driver of change. How are you showing us that you are investing in the technology that will help the youth in Africa play favorably with the youth in Asia and in Europe? You see, so we have to be really realistic and not really just try to sell ideas that are not important for the time. You see. So one thing, as I was talking about our party chairman, he has really, in terms of integrity, really tried to maintain his integrity as a leader, which is very important because Kenyans right now don't need fake promises. They don't need systems that are being perceived to work, but in reality they are not working. You see, for example, even the right to housing. It's a right in our constitution. We fully accept that all Kenyans need decent housing. But then how are these houses being churned out to different Kenyans? There are no proper rules, and even you saw the High Court just recently declared some sections of the housing project, the act that was governing the housing project, unconstitutional. So there are still issues on how Kenyans are supposed to get the different houses. There's still uncertainty. So what I can say is that it's important that as leaders we be honest, and I can tell you for sure that our party chairman, Honorable Gideon Moi, is very interested in being the leader of the time. So one thing I'll encourage the youth of Kenya: look at your leaders and question. Don't vote along tribal lines. Right now, everyone is suffering. If you're a Luo like me, if you're a Kikuyu, everyone is suffering. So right now we need systems. So for the youth, they want systems that will work.
Does the youth really understand that politics like rugby, you don't play it with some soft gloves? So much as we've gone digital and everything is a digital platform and there's no baby gloves here in politics.
I mean, considering they participated in the protest, they now know you pull out the gloves, and when it's important to fight,
you go bare knuckle.
Yeah, you go bare knuckle. So I want us to really understand that this is not the generation that didn't know what they're doing.
Let's take a break before we go with baby gloves on the show. Stay with us. Atieno Golo is an advocate of the High Court. She's an author, NEC member of KANU. She's also ADR practitioner. Wanjiku Thiga, National Youth Leader, DCP Party, also with me today. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more.
Je, umewahi kuwa na deni ya KRA? Basi usiwe na shaka. KRA wakishirikiana na KBC wamekuandalia roadshow murwa kabisa. Jiunge nasi tukufahamishe kuhusu KRA Tax Amnesty Program na jinsi utakavyoweza kusamehewa adhabu na riba na KRA. Pia tutakuwa tunakusaidia kujaza fomu za kodi za mwaka 2024 na kukusaidia na huduma za KRA kwa mtaa wako. Jumanne tarehe 3 mwezi Juni tutakuwa maeneo ya Machakos kuanzia Syokimau na kupitia Mlolongo, Kitengela, Athi River, Machakos, Mtituni na tumalizie Tala. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
It is time to create lifelong memories, time to write our own history, and it is time to give a blow-by-blow account of each football match played right here in Africa. This is just the start of something very special.
Against Mamadou Sy for Algeria to stay in the penalty shootout. And it is Senegal who claim the title as Guendouzi strikes the woodwork.
You don't want to miss this classy treat, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Thought you in Dubai? I was. The difference is just 1 hour. Why are you getting confused?
Huwezi nielewa. Tafutaje Musa story tunajua mimi naye. Unamaanishaje? See the fact that mamake alitoroka.
I have a lot of things in my mind, and the name is the list of my worries. Can you serve me breakfast? As long as you're disrespecting your mother, I do have a problem with your stay here.
But you just came the other day. Are you hiding something from me?
What? Yani wewe na hiyo manga yako bado hujatoka kwenyewe.
Hapana, kuna noma nayo.
Huwezi ongea nao kabla hujapita kwangu. I will not allow your egocentric megalomania to drive me crazy.
All right, and welcome back. Now, a quick one. Francis Kaviu has just joined us. He's the Deputy Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly. Francis, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Okay, so let me take you a quick one. On the front page of the local dailies, before we continue with the discussion, regional kingpins battle for 2027, more or less the same thing that we're talking about. Regional kingpins battle for 2027. We have got different faces here. One of them, Wanjiku is going to be happy about that, is Rigathi Gachagua. We have got Kalonzo Musyoka. We have got Fred Matiang'i, former CS, Martha Karua. We have got Professor Kithure Kindiki, who is a deputy president. We have got Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and Johnson Sakaja, who is the governor of this great city of Nairobi, and Abdul Samad Nasir, who is the governor of Mombasa. The political heavyweights flex their muscles to consolidate influence. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. Wajik, I'm going to give you that because now there's a reason for that. Okay, so on the front page of the Daily Nation, how grade 9 choices will shape careers. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. How grade 9 choices will shape careers. Grade 9 learners can pick from 9,569 institutions that will admit in January. That is what's here. And of course, there is a case of tears and as activists recount torture in Tanzanian detention. That is Boniface Mwangi yesterday during a press conference. And of course, there was Ruto intervenes in row over secret NIS camp at the coast. There's so much happening on the front page of the Daily Nation. And finally, on the front page of the Standard, Weston arm twist. Weston arm twist. That is what is here. And the picture here is of the Weston Hotel. The story says that in a comic twist exposing the rot in the public institutions, KCAA now seeks compensation, not restitution, from the President Ruto-linked Weston Hotel over contested land. Now, despite earlier claims, the agency now signals the land grab is acceptable, so long as payment is made. Justice, it seems, has a price Weston is willing to pay. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And of course, Boniface Mwangi, again down there, voices crushed and bodies broken, activists allege torture in Tanzania. That is also the front page of a local daily. So, Francis, we were just having a conversation. There is this political and siasa chess game that you are experiencing in the country. First of all, what happened in your county, in Machakos? What happened? Have you resolved the issue?
We were able to resolve the issues. It's only that there was some bottleneck.
What was the problem for the sake of the viewer?
I think independence of a governmental institution has been an issue in this country. And it's the same problem that is happening in Machakos. And if you can recall, last time we were here, we were talking about the autonomy of the county assemblies. And there has been a lot of interference in the operations of the county assembly, not only in Machakos, but across Kenya. And that's why we have been advocating for stronger county assemblies so that the Kenyans can realize the true value of devolution, because as long as we have weaker county assemblies institution across Kenya, then the people might never realize the true fruits of devolution. And that interference is what is affecting Machakos by the executive. But as the representative of the people, we were able to stand tall against that and defend the cause of devolution, because we don't want a scenario where when the big people or the people in leadership don't want to do the right thing, and the moment they are questioned, because they have the influence or the power to impeach, then just because today I'm not in agreement, either, let's say, like the issue that happened with the deputy president, there are better mechanism of solving these leadership wrangles. So instead of calling for impeachment, it is for the executive to look into the issues that are being raised by the county assemblies and resolve amicably, because at the end of the day, we normally say the client is one, the mwananchi. So whether you like each other or you don't like each other, you must always find a solution so that you can have time to serve. So that space, that democracy, that freedom to exercise the constitutional mandate that has been given to the County Assembly of Machakos, that is what was being interfered with, and we said no to that interference. And unfortunately, you just saw the other day during the Ukambani tour that was being done by the, I don't know whether to call them the opposition or the force that is coming up. You saw the Wiper leader giving an instruction that the Speaker of Machakos, just because she went to State House, needs to be chased away. That is not what the Constitution says, and everybody has that freedom of interacting, or even freedom of expression and interacting with whoever that you feel. It's okay. So we do acknowledge the politics of party, but we should not be enslaved by the party ideologicals to an extent that we do not allow the constitution to prevail, and also to an extent that it interferes with service delivery to the people. So that was the problem, but I think now we are set. We were able to resume operation after...
You even appeared before the Senate?
We appeared before the Senate last week, I think on Tuesday. But if you also look at the issues that were being raised, the objective was not there, because also Senate is also failing in some way, because they cannot just purport to be resolving the issues that are affecting people, yet the bill on autonomy of county assembly is lying with them, because if that separation has been clearly defined, then the things will be different. But they were able to do what they are supposed to do, because they also have that mandate to safeguard devolution, and I think it's on the same breath that they invited us. But even before going to Senate, we had already made a resolution that it's time to get back to work and serve the people of Machakos. Is back to work. Yeah, we are back to work. And after the recess on 10th of June, we'll be back with the plenary, but the committee and the other oversight operations are running smoothly.
Great. I think it was just a point to make a clarification. Okay, so people of Machakos, Mdozi ako hapa amesema you are back on track. All right, so we are here. It reminds of the political, this year's chess game that you're talking about, the game of chess, where Wakili, you've heard what he said, that you have a political party, but a political party should not box you into a way of thinking that you lose your democracy. That's what I'm talking about here. A game of chess, you have to be tactical about any move you make. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see, I've been in politics since I was in campus, and I've understood, as you've said, politics is a game of chess, and it's very important that you understand the moves and the terrain that you're working in. Yes. And as much as we are in different political parties, there are certain fundamental constitutional principles that we have to adhere by. You see, we have the Bill of Rights, for example, in the Constitution, and everyone has the right to, for example, freedom of expression. You know, everyone, I mean, the press is granted granted their own rights, the freedom of the media. So even as political parties and as we engage, we should understand that we work within confines of the Constitution, and the Constitution will remain to be the supreme law of the land. And I think you saw last year during the protests, it was very evident that people celebrate the Kenyan democracy. People celebrate the Constitution of Kenya with the rights that we have. So even as we engage in politics, let us not forget that there are systems, there is a governance structure, there are rights of every individual, whether I'm in KANU, she's in DCP, I need to understand that she has the freedom of also her opinions, and they are valid, right? Yeah, so we need to understand the environment that we work in, but more so, as we are talking about the game of chess, you have to be strategic, you have to understand what will actually sell to the ground, and I've told you, the youth and Kenyans right now no longer want lies. They want work, because right now if we talk even about lack of jobs, it's even worse for businesses. The environment is not enabling, you see. So we need to now, as political parties and leaders, speak to issues, not personalities. Yeah, Kenyans need a government and a system that's working.
It must be not so easy to distinguish between personalities and issues, because for you to align yourself to a political party, there must be a figure.
Yes.
So we take our mind to some holiday somewhere and then talk to that personality. Ideologies tunaweka kando.
Maybe allow me to explain. Yeah.
Right.
You see, like during the KANU reign of Mzee Moi, things like education were working. Yeah. Right now, we had the issue of the university funding model. Yeah. We are also seeing the issues with the current curriculum, of course, the transitions and all. You can't just organize yourself as a political party around an individual, yet there are these pressing issues which need to be resolved. You see, so as much as we have the political figures and everyone is trying to align themselves, there has to be now the reality. There is, of course, what politicians like doing, like imagining, like saying, but Kenyans and the youth in specific, who are the future of this country, need hope and systems that will work. So for me, I'd like just to encourage the youth of Kenya that if you look at KANU, the things we've always stood for, like social justice, environmental care, health care, economic freedom, and also a good education system. You know how Mzee really opened up many schools and was passionate about education. And some of people like yourself are the beneficiaries, of Maziwa ya Nyayo, and you're here courtesy of the KANU regime.
To clarify, I'm lactose intolerant.
Maybe I would like to chip into what Mr. Teno has talked about and what you're talking about, personality in politics. And this is what even DCP are actually going through, and what I'm really putting some work to demystify. People, when we talk about DCP party, people are really thinking about His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the party leader. And I agree he's a very critical element to the party, but he's a single element. Our party is an institution, and we are looking forward, and a dream of our party leader was to have an institution that's going to surpass even him. It's to build a political home for the young people of today and tomorrow. And for us, it's an institution with, structures that like the NEC, the NDC. I am sure if I ask somebody who's the chairperson of DCP party, nobody can tell me. Nobody has even interacted with our website, and all the attacks we get, it's just from a single element, and that's the party leader. And so for us, and what I tell young people is that for DCP, it's a whole institution. We have ideologies as a party. Our ideologies is inclusivity, and among them is inclusivity. And because we are very intergenerational and bold, we want to find a place of harmony where the old and the young can really meet at a point of harmony and move forward, because the Gen Z Mandamano young people showed that we are unheard. And we've seen this regime consistent disconnect with the young people, and they continue not listening, because the other day during the power breakfast, the president gave a sorry excuse of an apology. And the other day on Friday, they arrested Rose Njeri. And they had said they are putting an end to abduction. And, you know, by him saying if in his public apology, that means he was not agreeing to anything. He was absolving himself from everything that has been happening. But now saying, giving that excuse of an apology, then going ahead and capturing a young person who was using technology to interact with processes of decision-making in the country, and then instead of promoting, you know, this government doesn't promote dissent. Democracy must protect dissent, and that's how democracy can thrive. And if this regime continues intimidating its young people, and we have very bright young people who are even now, like Njeri, who's using technology to engage young people, this country cannot go move forward. And for us, that's why we say, for Kenya to move forward, we are saying Ruto must go. And it's not Ruto as a person only, it's what he stands for, it's the regime itself. So that Kenya, where it stands as a nation, it's an international actor, actually. And that's why you see we attract a lot of attention from ICC, you know, and from other bodies. And for us, we are saying if we must move forward in Kenya, because a lot of things are not working. Healthcare is not working. Education is so expensive for its student. The median age of this country is 19 years. That means every young person wants to interact and access education. We are talking about human rights violations that continue within Kenya and across its borders. Let's look at East Africa, actually. We're all picking this behavior of really intimidating, you know, people. Look at Uganda, look at now Tanzania, what has done. Kenya itself, it's not, and it's even participating in Sudan wars. It's really, we are really bordering on.
When you look at, Francis, because at the end of the day, the political or the siyasa chess game that you're about to witness, or we are witnessing right now, is going to actually give out the real Kenya in us when it comes to politics. Because you're going to have your friends, Wanjiku and Atieno, they are going to have their friends. But the common denominator here, you talked about the client, the voter. Is the voter aware of the chess game in the political circle?
I think most of the time when we are forming these political alliances, most of the time we fail as a politician. We normally don't have the voter or the person that we intend to serve in mind, because if you look at the headline here, it's talking about regional kingpin. But most of them, if you ask them, this power that you are scrambling for, what is there for the region that you come from? It's quite unfortunate that most of them will find they have zero agenda, because your past, even as you promise that you are going to deliver something better in future, if given an opportunity, we cannot just give a blind eye to the past or from where we are coming from, because if you look at them, it's just a case of recycling with no fresh ideas. Because look at the party that my sister Wanjiku,
DCP,
the DCP party. It is now almost going to a month, but the real Kenya, the Wanjiku, not her, but the common Wananchi, are they able to relate with the DCP party? Yes, they are talking of listening to the Wananchi, but if you look at it at a glance, can the Wananchi pick and say, there is something for me in this particular, there is something for me in KANU, there is something for me in DCP, there is something for me in UDA, there is something for me in the Maendeleo chapter.
Imagine we have 92. Can you count all the 92 parties?
Political parties are good, but they need to have the core basic principle that they stand for. Because if you go at let's say for instance, in the US, there are things that are constant. When you have a Democrat government, there is an agenda that you expect them. Yes, it is in their DNA that automatically, even without having to ask about it, you are normally sure that there is an agenda that must be in their menu. If it is a Republican, you know what they stand for. But in Kenya, political parties are normally used or viewed as just vehicles to help people grab power.
That's what we talked about here before you came. To win power and to negotiate.
Without an agenda, without a common belief. Because if you look at the current ruling party, the UDA, when they were campaigning, they were very passionate. They were promising. But because of lack of that ideology, a belief that you so faithfully believe in, that's why people get into power and they are not able to adhere to it. The current president, during his inauguration with the now self-declared enemy, who was the deputy at then, before the impeachment, Rigathi Gachagua.
Right.
Even himself, he spoke so well about their commitment to end human right violation. But what is happening now, a basic thing like freedom of expression, it's like now we are going back to the times of the Kanu, where
I was waiting for that.
Even times where you could be looked at and perceived like this, like you are thinking in a negative way about the president, and the next minute you are in Nyayo Torture's chamber. That now has been replaced with the Subaru Foresters. If you are not in sync with the government, or you appear to be criticizing, and sometimes it's not critic, it is the truth. Because I don't know what crime Rose has committed that warrants her to be detained. She was only expressing herself, a right, a freedom that has been granted by our constitution that we voted for. So there's nothing wrong about giving opinion, expressing herself, and telling Kenyans, look, this is what is in the finance bill, because it's a public document. It is not a personal document that you are saying, look, Rose has interfered with the rights of so and so. It is a freedom that she's expressing that is guaranteed by the constitution that the current government agreed to abide by it. So we need to have an ideology, not just political tools that are geared towards helping some certain individuals to achieve power. Because look at all those formation. I was expecting on this page we should be seeing the likes of Otieno there. We should be seeing Wanjiku there. We should be seeing Francis there. So
your time is coming.
As long as
your time is
the time is now, and that's why the young people of Kenya should not stop at where we left it at on June 25th last year. We need to participate. We need to be heard, and that space is not going to be given. We need to rise up, because if we are not on the table, then it means the young people of Kenya, we are on the menu.
Okay. All right. Let me cut you short there. Wanjiku, do we have future? In 1 minute, if you can. Is there some clean future when it comes to political parties, interactions, formations, and subsequent elections to come? Not 2027 alone. Ahead, as we look forward for that.
Yes, we do. And this is because of the increased public participation, and we've seen people exercise it now from 2024 moving forward. Watu wako macho. We are holding to account public bodies that have been given the mandate to protect the rights of people, to protect elections like IBC, to protect social and economic justice for Kenyans.
Yeah.
For me, I also trust why we have a future. It's because young people are now woke. They understand why they must remain politically active. They must keep a public eye. They must watch the public purse. That's why you're seeing they are looking at the finance bill. They're looking at the debt, the public debt, and I'm even encouraging them as we continue looking at national level. Let's also look at the counties, because also corruption and plunder exists there in a very high magnitude.
Okay, Wakili, while you were away, you did a lot of work.
Yes.
Okay, let me just put it this way. Can you imagine the lady authored 3 books? Who does that? And launched all of them at the same time? 3. Francis, 3 of them, and launched them at the same time. One of them is Beyond the Books, the African Law Student's Guide to Passing the Bar Exam. That one. How many pages? This is interesting. 157 pages. That one. Okay? There's another one here. This one is 100 and how many pages? 269 pages. The role of ADR in an African justice systems, which is, we are trying to embrace it. All right? Is it really working in Kenya?
Yes. And if we look at alternative dispute resolution, it's the alternative to courts. If you look at even the political spaces that we find ourselves in, when we are not able to agree, we have to negotiate, we have to mediate. That is alternative dispute resolution, apart from going to court. Okay, so in the African justice systems, we know previously, before the formal courts, we had our ways of resolving disputes within our clan elders, within the different leaders in the communities. So what I'm trying to really bring out, that at this moment, not every Kenyan, not every African can access the formal courts, but we can use the alternatives to court, which are the negotiations, mediations, the traditional dispute resolution mechanisms, which actually our constitution in Kenya recognizes. So even as we move forward to 2027, there'll be a lot of political disputes within the parties. I have served as the secretary of the National Dispute Election Tribunal for 2022 in Kanu, and one of the ways we resolved our disputes is just through negotiations and mediations.
Out of court negotiation, basically. Okay. And the last book here is In His Court. In His Court, a year-long devotion for lawyers. In fact, when I look at some of the pages, it's all about the Bible scriptures, devotion. And it goes day 12 up to day 30. It continues on and on and on and on and on. This one is how many pages? Okay, this book is still new. Even the pages are stuck.
It's a 365-day devotional.
The pages are stuck, literally. There you have it.
Yes.
I mean, how can one get these books?
So you can actually just reach out to me on my social media handles, across all board. It's Acheno Gola. We are doing the distribution, the delivery from source. That is myself. Yes, so if you need the books, just reach out to me through all my social media handles. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Thread, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, X. Yes, so you can just reach out to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is some great work, and during the launch of the book, some big people attended.
Professor Kivuta Kibana was my chief guest. We had the president of the Law Society of Kenya, Faith Odhiambo, who has actually written the foreword to the ADR book. And also we had the FIDA chairperson, Ms. Christine Kungu. We had Dr. Muthomi Thiankolu, and also Sir Nelson Ashitiva. And before I end what I'm saying at this moment, I'd just like to give a clarification about Kanu. You know, sometimes we really unfairly judge Kanu, but we really have to put Kanu into context. If you look at the time that Mzee Moi ruled and what was happening around us as the East African community and Africa at large, we were really at a better place in terms of stability, and we can't lie that we can't rewrite our past, but we can write our future. So Maendeleo Chapter is here courtesy of Section 2A, which Mzee Moi readily agreed.
You get it?
And then
He's a beneficiary.
Mzee Moi willingly handed over power.
Thank you.
That was stable.
Thank you. All right. Wakili Atieno Gola, thank you so much for joining us. We are just running out of time. But Francis Kavyu, Minority Leader, Deputy Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly, and Wanjiku Thiga, who is National Youth Leader, DCP Party. Asante sana for coming. We are going to have more of this discussion moving forward because there is just so much to discuss when it comes to politics. My name is Victor Low. Have a good one. And by the way, continue and buy the books. If you're a lawyer, practicing lawyer, buy the books. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first.
You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest, each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra niceness of reggae music,
extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
George Kamau Muhoho joined politics when he left priesthood and ventured into politics in the 1983 polls when he contested and won the Juja parliamentary seat. It is believed that his decision to join elective politics was influenced by the experience of his brother-in-law, Kenya's founding president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Prior to that, Muhoho was ordained as a Catholic priest in 1963 and served the church in various administrative capacities. At one time, Muhoho the priest rose through the ranks of the Catholic Church to serve as private secretary to Pope IV.
Leo ni Jumanne kiungwana ama kiungwana na sio Jumanne ya vidubuasha. Karibu sana mtazamaji, kumbuka ni kipindi ambacho kinakujia kupitia KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya, na wakati huo pia ni kipindi ambacho kinakujia kupitia runinga ya KBC Channel 1. Huwa tunajadili masuala yenye umuhimu wa kitaifa mtazamaji. Leo ni tarehe 3 Juni mwaka wa 2025 na ni siku ya Jumanne. Tumesalia na siku 9 kabla waziri wa hazina ya kitaifa Mheshimiwa John Mbadi kuwasilisha bungeni makadirio ya matumizi ya serikali mwaka wa kifedha wa 2025-2026. Lakini hayo tuyaache kando mtazamaji. Studioni hii leo tutakuwa tunaangazia masuala ya mswada wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2025. Mswada huu wa fedha wa mwaka 2025 mtazamaji ni sheria mpya inayopendekezwa na serikali ili kushughulikia hali ngumu ya kifedha nchini na vile pia kusaidia kukuza uchumi. Mtazamaji, serikali imepanga kupunguza matumizi kupita kiasi kwa kushusha bajeti hadi 4.5% ya pato la taifa, yani GDP, kwa mwaka wa fedha 2025-2026 kutoka 5.1% mwaka uliopita. Mtazamaji, mojawapo ya maeneo yanayopigiwa debe kwenye mswada huu ni sekta ya nyumba. Serikali inapendekeza tozo ya 3% ya mshahara, ambapo mwajiri na mfanyikazi watachangia kwa usawa ili kufadhili mpango wa nyumba za bei nafuu. Mtazamaji, wiki jana Rais Daktari William Ruto aliwapa wakazi katika kaunti ya Kisumu nyumba za bei nafuu. Hii ni baada ya kutoa nyumba kama zizo hizo kule maeneo ya Mukuru, kaunti ya Nairobi, na akatoa hakikisho kuwa serikali itaendeleza juhudi zake za kuhakikisha inaboresha makazi ya Wakenya na kuwapa nyumba nzuri kwa bei nafuu. Mtazamaji, yapo mengi ya kujadiliwa, yapo mengi yanayolengwa kwenye mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2025 hasa kwenye sekta ya nyumba na makazi, na leo studioni bila kupoteza nukta sekunde wala dakika nina wageni wawili. Kwanza ninaye mtaalamu wa masuala ya ushuru CPA Bwana Dennis Wakaba, karibu sana.
Asante.
Na vile pia ninaye mwenyekiti wa shirika la kitaifa la nyumba ama National Housing Corporation Mheshimiwa Yusuf Chanzo, karibu sana ndani ya studio.
Asante sana my brother. Ndugu yangu.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, ni mengi ambayo tutaangalia. Kumbuka kuanzia leo Wakenya kote nchini wana muda wa wiki 2 kutoa maoni yao juu ya mswada huu wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2025, na kuna vikao mbalimbali ambavyo vinaendelea. Moja kwa moja labda nikianza naye Mheshimiwa Chanzo hapa. Huu mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2025 umependekeza kwamba wafanyikazi watakuwa wanatozwa 3% ya mshahara kwa ajili ya nyumba za bei nafuu. Labda hii itasaidia vipi kufanikisha lengo la serikali la kujenga nyumba 250 kila mwaka? Tukianza na hapo.
Yeah, asante sana. Thank you so much kwa makaribisho mema hapa. Our national TV station KBC. Kitu ya kwanza ni salamu kwa Wakenya wote na kuwahimiza wa support their own every time. Najua kitu ambayo imetusumbua hapa nchi hii kama kuanzia independence, yale ambayo ilikuwa hata kwa manifesto wakati huo, kama tungedumisha hiyo hatungekuwa tunapata vitu kutoka nje, including saa hii kwa tunaongea vile tunataka kupata pesa za kujenga nyumba. You know, umeongea maneno ya Kisumu, lakini there was even more in Homa Bay.
Ndio.
Homa Bay, anajua tuko na NHC, National Housing Corporation. Ni parastatal au nini institution ya serikali ambayo iliundwa na serikali ya kikoloni.
Ndio.
1953. Kupatiana nyumba kwa wakati huo ilikuwa wazungu. Lakini baadaye sheria ikabadilishwa kaongeza Wahindi and then now Africans ourselves. But you can see, ukiangalia from 1953 ile fikira ambaye mzungu alikuwa nayo wakati huo, and then we took over and we have not taken it very far. Ni vile tu nimesema hapa wakati nilikuwa nakuja hapa naambia hizi barabara tuko nazo hapa, ile ambaye hata ambaye inaingia hapa hii ilikuwa plan ya mkoloni. You know, we have not improved them. So I think Ni time ambayo tunatakiwa tufikirie sana. Tuone tunaweza kupata maendeleo namna gani, and I think wale ambao wanaelewa maneno ya economics, which everybody should understand, ni kwamba kama tuko na ujenzi wa vitu kama nyumba kwa inchi, linaonyesha inchi iko na ile inaitwa kwa kizungu prominence. You know, tuko na activity ambayo inafanya kila mtu anakuwa busy. And this is the reason why nafikiri serikali ambayo tulikuwa nayo na hii iliona lengo kubwa ni kwamba tuwe na hizi ya bei, nyumba ya bei nafuu. Tulisikia mbeleni kwanza President Ruto akiongea maneno ya employment, because you know initially zile ambao walianza na alikuwa tulikuwa nafikiria kwa kila nyumba kama unaweza kupata 5 youngsters wanafanya kibarua pale. Baadaye watu wakalalamika wakasema just quietly, wakalalamika wakasema sasa yeye anatuambia watoto wetu wamesoma waende kufanya kazi ya mjengo na wamesoma. I think that is now la 2023 tulikuwa Embu wakati alikuwa na launch siku, nafikiri ilikuwa siku ya Madaraka Day. Akaongeza akasema engineers, architects and quantity surveyors will be able to get work. The only problem we have in this country, and I really we must talk about it, wale watu ambao wamepatiwa mamlaka ya kutekeleza vitu fulani they take a long time. I think it is a lot of mtu kufanya kitu kwa personal, so you know they don't open up for people to know what is happening. Unajua imechukua a long time but I'm very happy. Hata juzi hii ambayo ilikuwa hapa Islam Mkuru. No. You know, we are now having professionals like engineers, architects and so on employed. The only thing is that I was telling someone when we were in Royal Media the other day, I was telling some of my friends, this the ones who are chairing our institutions, architects and the quantity surveyors and architects and engineers. Unajua kitu mahali, the way you have done here, you know you've done a very good thing.
Thank you.
You call me, then you call my brother here. But people are very selfish. Akiitwa mahali, hawezi kuita wewe, you know, as an expert.
Ndio.
To come so that you can give your input. So mtu anaenda pale peke yake. So we have had that, and it takes a lot of time. It wastes time. You know, if you call one person and then you realize, like this program, if you call and then you realize that you are supposed to call somebody else, now you have to close the program and call again. So I'm happy with the housing. The issue of creation of employment. The only thing that I think is going to change later as we go along. Unajua ilikuwa kwa manifesto. Na imekuwa kwa manifesto ya Mheshimiwa Raila na hiyo chama yake wakati huo. Imekuwa kwa manifesto ya Uhuru na Ruto. Imekuwa kwa manifesto ya Ruto. But I'm very happy that there was agreement between President Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila to work together, because in Homa Bay we were handing over 110 houses, affordable houses in Homa Bay. And then another thing that has happened because of that, we got a very big stadium of capacity of I think about 12,000, but I think this time there were more than that. So it is something that is progressive, and this is why I'm saying, if government could find a way of people like you going to a place like China and see what is happening. You know, I used to go to China for benchmarking, like when I was in parliament. You know, benchmarking is about 2 or 3 days. But when you go there and stay for about 2 or 3 weeks, you see a lot. Watu wamejenga nyumba, 50 gorofas. So it is something that I think we are in the right direction. And then now I think and see how we can be able to generate resources to do it. Because one advantage to Kenyans, which I want them to know just before I hand over to you. Unajua hii hapa Kenya sisi wote ni wa Kenya. Hii mahali tuko land yote ni yetu sisi, public land. But is held by government in custody on our behalf. Hizi nyumba ukipata kama hii ambayo wanasema ni affordable housing, you know the land is free. Land is zero rated. And you know if you don't get that house, you won't get that land. That's why you see a house like 2 bedroom, you find in affordable housing maybe about 2.5 million. But you see if you come here to Kilimani here, you're not talking less than 7 million or 8 or 9 million because of the value of land. So it's a very good idea. And then just finally on the issue of this budget.
Kabla hujaingia kwenye bajeti, Mheshimiwa Shanzu, shikilia hapo. Mtazamaji, ni saa 2 na dakika 17 saa za Afrika Mashariki. Endapo ndo kwa sasa umefungua runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1, kipindi hewani ni Gumzo Pevu ndani ya Radio Taifa na KBC Channel 1, na ndani ya studio tuko naye mwenyekiti wa National Housing Corporation Mheshimiwa Bwana Shanzu yuko ndani, na vile vile pia niko naye Bwana CPA Dennis Wakaba. Tunazungumzia matumizi ama tunazungumzia mswada wa kifedha mwaka 2025 na vile vile pia masuala ya nyumba. Nirudi kwako CPA Bwana Wakaba. Mwaka jana kama saizi leo ni tarehe 3, tulikuwa tumebakisha kama siku 21 tu. Ilikuwa tarehe 24 Juni ambapo kulikuwa na maandamano makubwa katika taifa letu la Kenya, ikapelekea paka vijana wa kizazi kipya kuvamia bunge, na katika hali hiyo Wakenya 60 waliuawa, gasi ya chungu nzima kutokana na mswada wa kifedha ambao baadaye rais aliukataa. Tutarajie nini mwaka huu?
Asante sana. Kwanza ni washukuru nyinyi wote na wapenzi watazamaji. Mswada wa fedha ulio pelekwa bungeni na our respective MP uko na proposals mingi.
Ndio.
Lakini mswada wa huu mwaka tunasema umepewa jina, wengi wanaita it's a clean up bill. Clean up bill, tukisema clean up bill tunamaanisha hakuna proposals mingi za kutoza ushuru kwa wingi. Na in a comparative manner, mwaka ujao ule mswada uliofanya kuwepo na vita ulikuwa na proposals ya ku raise taxes to the tune of 326 billion. Lakini huu mwaka rais najua amesikiza watu, amesikiza Wakenya, amesikiza wanabiashara wengi na amepunguza. Manake tuna expect that the amount of money that the finance bill 2025 is expected to raise itakuwa ni bilioni 25, kati ya bilioni 25 to bilioni 35. Yes. Na katika huo mswada kuko na proposals mingi, kuko na proposals ambazo zinagusa ujenzi wa manyumba katika ile program ya Affordable Housing Scheme. Igawaje some of those proposals zikipitishwa bungeni kwa vile ziko saa hizi, tuta expect kuwa wanaojenga, wanao supply materials to these institutions, they are going to incur additional taxes. Manake kuna reclassification katika one of the types of taxes tunaita VAT, na ile VAT inakuanga imegawanyishwa mara 3. Kuna ile tunaita exempt, kuna ile tunaita zero rated, na kuna ile tunaita standard rated. With exempt, tunaposema exempt tunamaanisha mimi nikikuzia hii kitu ama hii material, nikiangalia kwa ile Act of Parliament inaitwa VAT Act, inasema hii kitu ambacho mimi nakuuzia sitaweka VAT, any VAT, it is exempt, haina VAT kabisa, na hiyo ni exempt. Alafu kuna ile tunasema iko zero rated, na zero rated, tukisema zero rated tunasema mimi nikikuuzia hii kitu ambacho unataka kununua kutoka kwangu, nitaweka VAT, lakini nitaweka at 0%.
Ndio.
Na hiyo iko na tofauti na ile exempt na zero rated ambayo nitaelezea zaidi. Alafu sasa kuna ile standard rated. Standard rated tunaweka VAT at the rate of 16%. Now, katika huu mswada ulio bungeni, there is the proposal to change the supplies to ujenzi wa haya majumba ya Affordable Housing Scheme kutoka exempt to standard rated. Na hiyo ni kumaanisha kama kile ambacho tena na kuuzia kiko exempt, ni kumaanisha kama mimi nikinunua nilichajua VAT, nilinunua ikiwa na component ya VAT, ni kumaanisha hiyo sasa ni cost kwangu. Yeah, lakini sasa nikisema ati tena naipeleka ikuwe standard rated, ni kumaanisha sasa mimi nimeincur cost na nikikuuzia alafu tena nitaweka hiyo 16%, na hiyo ikipitishwa vile ilivyo itamaanisha gharama ya hii business na wanaofanya haya manyumba, wanaojenga haya manyumba through the PPPs going to incur additional cost. Na you know, we are appealing to the parliamentarians to look into this and to consider retaining that exemption as it is.
All right, nikirudi kwako Mheshimiwa Chanzo, kuna changamoto gani ambazo labda serikali inatarajia kutoka kwa waajiri na wafanyikazi kuhusu hii 3% ambao wanatozwa ili kujenga nyumba? Challenges ni gani?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question. Ile mimi nafikiria najua there is so much that we need to do as a country.
Ndio.
And this is the reason why mimi nasema when you get people like my brother here, you know, experts in various areas, kuja kuongea kuhusu maneno. Unajua awareness, watu kujua ni kitu muhimu sana. Na there are many challenges. You know, you remember on Labor Day, I don't know whether you guys, I don't know whether you are, because sometimes you work on shifts, I don't know whether you saw what happened when we were at Uhuru Gardens. You know, Atwoli spoke very well about the sector of agriculture. And by the way, that's a very, very important subject. I've been trying to look for opportunity, talk to my friend Mutai Kagwe, who is a very good minister, not just a friend, that we can talk about this kilimo. You know why Mzungu came to this country?
Yeah.
It's mainly because of agriculture. But you know, we have all lost that. I think it's because of corruption.
Tumetabidi turudi tena kwa Kiswahili sasa?
Yeah, sasa tumepoteza hiyo. Kwa ajili I'm not ashamed to say ufisadi. Ndio naona some time back wakati serikali ilikuwa na uhaba wa pesa kama wakati huu, na President Moi alikuwa anatafuta pesa, alikuwa anaenda kwa IMF na World Bank, ndio wakasisitiza lazima tuwe na ethics and anti-corruption, halafu hii DCI iwe reformed. But you see, mimi nikiangalia hawa watu najua wanafanya tu kama iko kitu ambaye inakuja kama, nafikiri ni pressure kama ya siasa, ndio unaona wanafanya kazi. Lakini kama wangekuwa wanafanya kazi vile mnafanya hapa, you see already, wakati nilikuwa nakuja nimekuambia nilikuwa na shida na bypass pale imefungwa. But already, you know, the lady who is assigned the responsibility to check whether I'm coming or not, she was already on phone very early, trying to see whether I'm coming or not. If we were working like that, this country would be very far. Sasa tunangojea. So those institutions ziliwekwa hapo kusaidia, lakini from what I'm seeing, so kitu ya kwanza mimi nafikiria kulingana na ile ambayo ilikuwa pale, hiyo ambayo Atwoli aliongea, alafu president akaongezea. Lakini sijui nani, if you remember that our sister, the one who is in charge of FKE, alikuwa analalamika that hakuwa as employers they were not now sijui ilifanyika namna gani, because for the time I have known Kotu, which is many years ago, because I've been nimekuwa kwa service for a long time, many years ago walikuwa wanafanya kazi very well. So nafikiri if hao wote wanaje kuja pamoja, alafu hii maswali yote ijadiliwe pamoja in good faith, not mtu mmoja kufikiria yeye ndiye atakuwa beneficiary, it will be very good. But kitu ambacho nataka kupitia kwa nyinyi hapa kwa hii nini mitandao yenu, unajua wakati tulikuwa nafanya hii katiba tulikuwa na mvurutano sana, na hii kitu yote Kenya hapa tumepata kwa ajili ya mvurutano. You know, people pulling left and right. I think it's high time, particularly you guys in the professions, make a serious recommendation. Vile the late Ndamba Gitonga alisema, yule ambaye alikuwa mwenyekiti wa kamati, ni high time tuwe na mabadiliko kwa hii katiba. Very serious things, ndio kila kitu inajulikana from the very beginning, so that what was kind of maneno ya speculation, bila kujua what is going to happen, you should be able to know. I'm very happy the other day, I don't know who was questioning this. Mtu mmoja alikuwa na question. I think mlikuwa na program for one of these TVs. Na iko mtu ambaye alikuwa, ilikuwa wakati walikuwa wanafanya hii vetting ya watu wa KBC. Na ni Farah Maalim aliuliza swali muhimu. Kama America, I think alikuwa anaongea, okay, you know in America we have had tumekuwa na mawaziri kama walikuwa 14. Ndio. Na unapakuta country like this one tuko na mawaziri sijui 20 something. But you know, unajua ministries there are more. Kwa maana unakumbuka wakati President Kibaki became president, alikuwa ameunda serikali ya watu 22. Lakini when Anani alikuja, alafu akasema hati Raila wafanye kazi na President Kibaki. Akaongeza another 22. You know, they are still there, like ministry where I am, tuko na waziri mmoja. Lakini tuko na PS, I think, wawili.
Kuna idara mbalimbali.
Yeah, so these are the things which are causing strain on our budget. So this one, I'm very happy that you have somebody like him, so that they can discuss these kind of things, and please make serious recommendation. Tulikuwa na Mombasa, tulikuwa na seminar ya ISPAC, and it was a very, very useful seminar. Nilikuwa naambia hivi, unajua hii katiba, and I want you guys to help Kenya, mwasaidie wa Kenya. Hii maneno ya kusema public participation, ndio. Haina maana. Kwa maana watu wanapeana maoni, lakini MPs wakija parliament wanampitisha vile wanataka.
Tutakuja hapo shikilia mheshimiwa, tutakuja hapo. Nirudi kwako CPA Wakaba. Umesema kwamba huu mswada wa kifedha mwaka 2025 mambo mengi yameondolewa kuhofia yale tuliyoyaona mwaka jana, ikiwa ni pamoja na ushuru. Lakini wengi wanahisi kwamba baadhi ya mapendekezo ambayo bado yapo katika huu mswada wa kifedha mwaka 2025 huenda yakapandisha gharama ya maisha. Je, ni kweli ama?
Ni kweli, igawaje pia vile nilivyosema hapo mwanzoni, ukilinganisha na huu mwaka uliopita,
ndio
hayo mambo sio mengi ukilinganisha na the finance bill of 2024. Na just to mention just a few of them, kuna ile nimesema kuna hiyo reclassification of the materials and wanaofanya hiyo business ya kujenga hayo manyumba. Wataenda sasa watakuwa na hiyo gharama sasa itapanda. Wanaofanya hii business ya kujenga manyumba, gharama itapanda kwa sababu kuko na ile reclassification of the VAT component. Na hiyo imekuwa moja ya ile jambo ambayo hii wiki iliyopita tulikuwa na an online conversation na the Institute of Quantity Surveyors of Kenya, na hili ni jambo ambalo tulipendekeza sana serikali iangalie. Manake vile my colleague here anavyosema, hii plan na ukileta pamoja na the government objective, ile mswada wanaoita better, the bottom up economic transformation agenda, moja ya pendekezo ya hiyo agenda ni ujenzi wa manyumba. Na kwa hivyo rais amefanya kitu mzuri sana, amepunguza ushuru, amepunguza new taxes zile zinaintroduciwa kwa the finance bill. Lakini pia this being one of the key things, being one of the most important things, ni vizuri raisi na wanabunge waangalie na kwa vile watu wengi wamesema hatutaki ushuru iongezeke kwa ujenzi wa haya manyumba, ni vizuri waendelee kuretain at the exempt level, wasiongeze hiyo 16%. Over and above that, wale wajenzi wanaojenga haya manyumba wanatozwa ushuru ile tunaofanya at the end of the year. Kampuni mingi zinatozangwa ushuru kwa profit wanayotengeneza at the end of the year at the rate of 30%. Lakini sasa vile ilivyo, the Income Tax Act ni one of the taxing acts, inakuanga imepatia a preferential, a different favorable rate ya 15% kwa naojenga manyumba zaidi ya 100. Now, one of the proposals zenye iko kwa hii bill ni kutoa hiyo 15%, so that now wanaojenga haya manyumba, na wengi wao vile tu nimesema wako kwa kama of course unajenga the affordable housing levy, ni lazima ikuwe unajenga zaidi ya manyumba 100. Kwa hivyo wanatolewa wanatoza ushuru at 15%, lakini sasa inaongezwa to 30%. Na hii sasa ni kumaanisha of course sasa watalipa taxes mingi, na vile tunavyosema, kwa sababu serikali inataka kujenga manyumba, it is only in their own benefit that they retain the 15%. Ndio wanaojenga haya majumba wasifanye nini, wasiongeze they don't incur a lot of cost, which now will translate to a high cost of these buildings. And as we know, tunavyojua ni kwamba watu wanapatiwa a certain amount of loan so that they can pay in the course of time. Hatutaki in future we get to the point that we are saying we are revaluing tuna revalue gharama ya haya manyumba, tunaongeza. Hatuwezi penda hivyo, na kwa hivyo I'm appealing to the parliamentarians because vile tulivyoona mwaka uliopita, jambo moja ambalo lilikuwa linapingwa sana nilikuwa the new introductions after the second reading. Kuna zile steps a bill going into the parliament, kuna zile steps inayopitia, na kwa sasa ilifanywa the second reading. It then goes to the third reading. After the third reading, hapo tuliona new introduction of new taxes, so many changes and all that, lakini vile hili jambo lilipelekwa kotini, koti lilisema that unajua watu walihisi there has been new changes, lakini hakuja kuwa na ile public participation. Koti nayo ili intervene, and it actually made a judgment that that public participation need only to be sufficient, ikuwe imefanywa, lakini it must not necessarily be exhaustive. Maanake sasa tukipeleka hiyo that reading, then tunarudisha tena kwa public participation, then tutakuwa pia tuna waste muda. So I'm appealing to the parliamentarians to, in as much as they are the legislative arm of the government, and they can representing us, they can decide the policy direction of the country, and therefore my appeal to them is that waangalie haya maneno ambayo wananchi wamesema na waitilie maanani.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, 25 dakika zimesalia za kutimia saa 3. Endapo ndo kwa sasa unafungua redio yako, hii ni KBC Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya, kipindi hewani ni Zinga. Mimi naitwa Rashid Momkondo, upande wa pili yupo mwenzangu Dora Manya, na ni kipindi ambacho kinakujia vile pia kupitia runinga na enzi ya KBC Channel 1, na tunazungumzia tu kuhusiana na mswada wa mwaka wa 2025 wa fedha, na vile pia masuala ya nyumba. Na ndani ya studio, kama nilivyokuambia, niko naye Mheshimiwa Yusuf Chanzu, ambaye yeye ni mwenyekiti wa shirika la kitaifa la nyumba, yani National Housing Corporation. Kwa wale wengi mnomkumbuka, alikuwa mbunge kule Vihiga kuanzia mwaka wa 1997 hapo. Mnomkumbuka sana, alikuwa mbunge wa Vihiga. Na vile pia ndani ya studio niko naye CPA Dennis Wakaba, tukizungumzia kuhusiana na masuala haya ambayo nimekuambia. Tunazungumza sekta ya nyumba, na vile pia tunazungumza masuala ya mswada wa kifedha. Nirudi kwako tena Mheshimiwa Chanzu. Labda tukizungumzia kuhusiana na masuala haya ya nyumba, kuna zile pesa ambazo employees wanatozwa ili kuchangia mfuko wa nyumba. Je, serikali itazitunza vipi kusiingie ufisadi?
Very interesting questions. Najua sijui, number one, unajua sasa tumeunda board.
Ndio.
There is affordable housing board. Na hii pesa nafikiri inaenda kwa fund ambayo iko pale.
Ndio.
Nafikiri ikitumiwa vizuri kutoka kwa hiyo fund straight away, hawezi kuwa na ufisadi. Ile ufisadi mimi naona
ndio
iko nchi hii. Ni the same thing ambayo nasema, hii maneno ya vitu kuja kwa ajili ya mvurutano, alafu vitu inakuja kabla haijakuwa very well refined, eh? Nafikiri mahali tunaweza kupata ufisadi na hii vitu ya procurement. Unajua, I was chief conservator in government. Hata sikutarajia nitaingia kwa maneno ya siasa. Nilikuwa na mtu alikuwa anatoka huko kwetu, alinitumia kama right hand man.
Ndio.
He's still there, lakini sasa amekuwa mzee Andrew Ligale. When I was chief conservator, he was permanent secretary, so alikuwa anatumia like right hand man, eh? Tulikuwa nafanya recommendation kulingana na kama hii maneno ya projects. Tulikuwa nafanya recommendation kulingana na vile tulifunzwa kwa university.
Ndio.
It's the way you are doing here. Unajua mtu mwingine kuja kujibandika ati anataka kufanya hii program. Unajua mtu akiangalia nje they think it is easy. Lakini mtu mwingine kuja kusema ati atakuja kufanya hii kazi mnafanya hapa ya KBC or any other media house, eh? So this what happened. Unajua wakati tulikuwa nafanya recommendation kuhusu projects, tulikuwa nafanya recommendation based on first principles, eh? Pricing, tunajua bei ya material fulani, tunajua labor mahali fulani itakuwa namna hii. Halafu unafanya recommendation, lakini wale ambao walikuwa kwa hizo ofisi kubwa inapatikana kwamba, I'm sorry to say this but I have to say it.
Ndio.
Because that's why we are here. Inapatikana wale ambao walikuwa natarajia watapata kazi, majina yao hiko huko. Kwa maana unatumia ile inaitwa first principles. You see, if you use that kind of thing, maybe you would not have called me and him. You would have called some of the big shots in government. Where I have been before. You know, I've been in the ministry. As a minister of water, energy and labor and so on, eh? So when we were doing that, later on what I discovered, hiyo kitu nilifanya, wakaleta hii law. Na hiyo law iko na shida kwamba, tena hii I'm very sorry to say that wameweka mamlaka for procurement entity. Na procurement entity ni either accounting officer or a chief executive na procurement officer. So these are, hiyo ndio maneno mengine tena nataka tukurane na nyinyi, I tell you because I've got a lot of knowledge about it. So they can be price fixing. You know what they call price fixing? Price fixing ni kufix price ya hii kitu.
Ndio.
Hii inaweza kuwa ya 15,000. Lakini mtu anaweka 25,000. Alafu anatangaza wanasema ni 25. Kama ukikoti 20, wanasema you are too low. Kama unakoti 30, wanasema you are too high. So the person with 25 gets, and yet kama ungeenda kwa open market ungenunua for 15. So hiyo ni inaweza kuwa shida, na mimi nataka nisi wa Kenya, eh? Let us be mindful. Tuwe mindful ya welfare wengine. Kwa maana kama watu ambao unajua wanatoa hiyo pesa, eh? Wamekuwa wakilalamika. Lakini unajua kama wakiona ile kazi ambayo hiyo pesa inafanya, wataridhika. Lakini kama hawaoni, au saa nyingine kama wengine hawawezi kubenefit au kufaidika nayo, watafanya hiyo. Ninasema nataka systems ziwe made easier. Tuko na kitu kingine ambayo inatumika kwa hii kwa hii mtandao, inatumika kwa hii affordable housing, eh? Hii boma yangu. Ni very important thing. Na mimi nimejaribu kuambia, sijapata nafasi ya kuambia sana, lakini najaribu kuambia because of my knowledge tena. Waifanye iwe easy. Unajua president tulikuwa naye wakati mwingine huko Olkalao. Alafu akasema mama mboga can save 100 shillings per day na nunue nyumba. And you know it is true. Kwa maana tuko na social housing ambayo ni 650,000. Ambayo unaweza kulipa per month 3,500 to 3,900. It is possible mama mboga na bodaboda kununua. Lakini ile shida ambayo nataka turekebishe kupitia kwetu, kwa maana unajua mimi niko na jukumu la kuwa chairman. I'm not executive chairman. So siwezi kuwa kwa ofisi kila wakati kufuatilia ile inafanyika. So kama tuko na uaminifu, alafu hiyo boma yangu I want it to be improved, I want to say it from here. Waifanye iwe kama kitu kama hii kitu ya M-Pesa. Unajua mtu ambaye alifikiria kitu ya M-Pesa, just look at it. You touch on it, if you make a mistake it tells you. And anybody can operate that thing na pate pesa. Nataka hiyo kitu ya boma yangu, hiyo mtandao irahisishwe so that hata mtu kama wewe, even you, hata kama utaki kununua, lakini unaweza kusaidia people from your place. I'm sure you've got brothers, sisters who would like to buy. But there is a very good deal. What I can say.
Tutakuja zungumzia kuhusiana na boma langu kwa sababu pia inatatiza sana Wakenya, lakini nirudi kwake CPM bwana Wakaba. Tuzungumzie kuhusiana na ushirikishwaji wa umma, yani public participation. Ndio katiba imeweka wazi kwamba kipengele cha 118 lazima tupitie. Lakini Wakenya wengi wanasema kwamba wabunge wanatumia hiki kipengele ile tu kujisafisha, lakini si public participation, ni ile tu pesa ionekane imetumika. Sijui swala hili wasemaje, kwa sababu leo imeanza na katika muda wa wiki mbili watakuwa wamekusanya maoni katika kaunti zote 47. Hebu tuzungumzie kuhusu hili.
Ni kweli na asante sana. With public participation, first of all, ningependa to appeal to all the Kenyans, wa Kenya wenzangu. Let us be active. Wacha to be active. We make our submissions. Because like for instance, mimi kila finance bill inapokuja, I usually lazima I make my own submissions from from the finance perspective, and from ushuru vipengele vinavyo kuwa introduced za ushuru zinasema nini, ni wapi kunaweza kuwa kuna makosa, ni wapi wanabunge wanafaa watilie maanani. Unajua pia vile kipengele ambacho vile kilivyoandikwa pale lazima kikue, because it's law, lazima kikue kimeandikwa vizuri. Now, the issue of public participation, wengi wanasema ati ni jinsi ya kutumia mali ya umma, ni jinsi tu ya kuhusisha wananchi, lakini vile tunavyoona hizi proposals tunazosema hazitiliwi maanani na vitu kama hizo. But kulingana na ile experience yenye mimi niko nayo, naweza sema with confidence that this committee does actually pay attention. Inatilia maanani maoni yetu, maoni ya Wakenya, maoni yangu, maoni yako, and all that. Na
ukisema hivyo unamaanisha kwamba maoni ya Wakenya yamezingatiwa katika mswada?
Inazingatiwa. And I'm very happy because I don't think in the recent past, hapo mwanzoni hatukuwa tunaona Wakenya wengi wakikuwa very active in submissions of these proposals. Tunaona kwa mtandao, igawaje pia wengine pia wanadanganya, wanasema vitu ambavyo sio za ukweli, ile kupoteza wananchi wenzetu, si mzuri. Lakini naweza sema mimi na wewe vile tumeviona kutoka mwaka uliopita, we have been very active on social media, on different platforms in making our recommendations, sending the emails, ile kutuma email to the clerk, to the clerk in the parliament, making our submissions in person. Na mimi vile nimekuambia, mimi mwenyewe kila mwaka mimi huenda na zile presentations zile nimepatiana zote zimetiliwa manani, isipokuwa moja. Na hiyo moja ni ile haikuwa kwa hiyo finance bill ya 2025 or rather 2024, manake ilikuwa, it was not a recommendation in that proposal, but it was a recommendation to correct an existing provision in the act. Vile navyosema ni katika hizi acts za kutoza ushuru, kuna ile ilikuwa na makosa kidogo, na nilifanya proposal itengenezwe, lakini nafikiri halikuwa it was not ranking high in priority, I would say. Lakini nasema ni ati the Parliamentary Finance and Planning Committee huwa inatilia maanani hizi recommendations, and we have seen this particularly with this finance bill of 2025. Yes.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, ndo tunamalizia dakika 14 saa za kanda ya Afrika ya Mashariki, msikilizaji, na tunazungumzia kuhusiana na mswada wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2025. Ulikuwa na uangalia, una kurasa 136, unasoma kipengele pale mengine unaweza ukasinzia. Lakini je, mswada huu una athari gani kwa Wakenya? Na tumeuchanganya hapa na swala zima la nyumba, mtazamaji. Ndiposa ndani ya studio tuko naye ndugu CPA Dennis Wakaba, alafu tuko naye aliyekuwa mbunge wa Vihiga Mheshimiwa Yusuf Chanzo, ambaye kama ulivyomsikia akisema yeye ni non-executive chairman wa National Housing Housing Corporation. Mheshimiwa Chanzo, nikirudi kwako, je, serikali ina mikakati gani ya kuzuia wale wa Kenya ambao watapatiwa hizi affordable housing kutoziuza?
You know, you amuse me a lot, eh? Sasa kitu ya kwanza, eh?
Ndio.
Wakati tulikuwa naenda kwa hiyo huko Mkuru. Nilikuwa nasikiza radio asubuhi. Na watu walikuwa naongea sana. Wale ambao waliongea kutoka from the experience they had. I think it was Kibera. Na unajua vitu nabadilika every time, eh? Na ndio mimi nataka ile I'm very happy about, eh? Nataka nikwambie kitu, sijui kama wanaweza kuona hii. Unajua 1997 when I left the civil service. Alafu nikaingia siasa. Unajua President Moi alikuwa kila mahali. A very nice person. So 2002 when there was general election. Unajua nilikuwa nimependa hii KBC kila unajua asubuhi saa 12 lazima nisikize news.
Ndio.
President amesema nini, tunaenda wapi? Alafu saa moja. You know, I didn't know. You know, they were bringing hii vitu ya KT and so on, they were coming on. But we were not, you know, I couldn't believe that we could change. It's only later on I came to realize later, ni kama wakati huu. Unajua wakati huu tuko na station ambazo zinatumika hii vitu. Hii ya wakina Gachagua na vitu vingine. You know, they're showing a lot, eh? All over the place. The other day you see them like when they were in Machakos and so on. So we concentrated on one thing, but you know, we did not think in a broad way. And this is the way I want Kenyans to think. Kama mtu akinunua nyumba na ni yake, he can do anything he wants with it. It's an investment. If you buy a house, it is not like what happened. Unajua hii watu walikuwa naogopa hapa, na hiyo ndio nataka msaidie wa Kenya. Walikuwa naogopa, wanasema somebody can go and buy one block of about 100 or so many houses, eh? Alafu aanze kujia watu. Na nafikiri hiyo ndio ilikuwa inaua hii miradi huko, hata huko nini California. You know this Pumwani. Unajua tumekuwa na miradi hii mingi. Lakini imeuliwa namna hiyo. And you know, like we talked about corruption, hii maneno ya ufisadi hapa nchini. Watu wako na pesa mingi. Na sometimes I wonder what for. Have you seen some of the banks? Mtu anakula mshahara equivalent of 32 million shillings per month. You know, I've not been able to understand this thing. Na wengine kama nyinyi, wale wanakaa kwa desk.
Mshahara wanakoma.
Wale wanakaa kwa desk kama wale ambao wakati tunataka hii vitu hivi nasema hii ya mtandao. Nataka kuuliza maneno ya pesa kama hivi vitu at night, you know, you want to transfer money. They are not sharing in the profits of the bank. I think these are the things that I want you to discuss, so the Kenyans can know not to be exploited. So watu walikuwa naogopa hili lifanyika Kibera.
Ndio.
Wakati huo, I think it was some time back. Mtu alikuwa anaenda nunua block alafu anaanza kujia watu. This time it is not like that. Unanunua nyumba yako. Come after a year, you feel that you want to sell it, it's your own house. You sell it. Just like, even if you've got a small car you parked out there, it's your car. Kama sasa unataka kuuza, you can go and sell it. Okay. So there is nothing, because that's why we got this mtandao, na hiyo nataka hiyo msaidie tena.
Ya boma yangu.
Ya watu, mtu aki-apply.
Tutakuja hapo kwenye boma.
Yeah, so this one the government is doing now is a clean thing. Ile ufisadi inapitia kwa ujenzi, watu kulipwa alafu wanapeana hongo hii. That one is different. Lakini nyumba ikiwa yako ni yako.
Shikilia hapo. Turudi kwa kushipia kwa Kaba. Je, huu mswada wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2025 ama generally finance bill ina effect gani? Ina impact gani kwa Mkenya wa kawaida kama mimi, Elijah, Emilio, Pauline, Wafula?
Naam, nafikiri tumezungumzia sana kuhusu the effect zile ziko kwa affordable, zenye zinagusia mambo ya affordable housing scheme. But also tukiangalia you know, ule raia wa kawaida, mimi na wewe, niseme kuna mambo mazuri pia ambayo yako kwa hii bill, na hiyo na moja ya hizi vitu ni tunasema in the calculation of the salaries. Tunapo calculate mshahara, kuna ile sasa requirement by employers to include all the deductions allowable. Yeah, to include zile deductions and contributions that you are making to such schemes as affordable housing scheme, to such schemes as if kama mimi niko na mortgage, nimechukua loan ya kujenga nyumba. Hapo mwanzoni ile ilikuwa ni ile interest ambayo yenye nalipa to this mortgage singeweza, haigetumika kupunguza ile tax yenye mimi kama nimeajiliwa nalipa. Hii bill ina propose ya kwamba nikichukua loan nijenge nyumba yangu mimi binafsi, ile interest yenye mimi nalipa, then hiyo interest nafaa nipatie my employer ndio aitumie kupunguza ile ushuru yenye nalipa kama PAYE. Lakini pia tumeona vipengele ambavyo pia zinakuwa recommended, zile tunasema pia zitakuwa na a negative effect, and that is tumeona like for instance access to pension, and this is one of the thing ni moja ya jambo ambayo tumeona in the news lately that the government is now looking into the direction of pension scheme, borrowing from the pension schemes, na hii inaonesha ya kwamba if the government is restricting, inasema siwezi access my pension scheme until I retire, which is what is being recommended. It is to mean that of course pension yangu sitaweza kuiaccess, na pia inaweza kuwa ni indication ya kwamba jambo ambalo tuna expect it to happen yati there's going to be a very big proportion of domestic borrowing. Na when the government concentrate sana with domestic borrowing, ni kumaanisha we might be looking into the direction of high interest rates, whereby access to loans by the common Kenyans, a common raia kama mimi na wewe, inaweza patwa na high interest rates borrowing from the banks, that we are no longer going to have access to loans with reduced interest rates. Yes.
Nikirudi hapo kwako kabla kumalizia muda wangu umekwenda, bwana CPA Dennis Wakaba.
Yes.
Kuna yule Mkenya ambaye kwa sasa amekaa anakusikiliza na anakutazama kupitia runinga. Hebu mchanue kidogo katika layman's language. Finance bill inahusiana vipi na budget?
Finance bill ni mswada. It is a government raising, it's a revenue raising measure by the government. Na nikisema hivyo na maanisha the amendments, zile changes ambazo tuna expect in the different taxing acts. The Constitution of Kenya, Article 144, regards in a regard finance bill as a money bill. And a money bill is ni ule mswada wowote ambao unahusiana na revenues of the government. Kwa hivyo finance bill in the hizo changes, the proposed changes that is seeking to make, natarajiwa ta correct additional taxes. That we are going to correct additional taxes. We are also going to relieve people from some taxes depending with the government metrics. Zile hesabu ambazo wamefanya wakaona hii sector ina perform hivi, wacha tutoze ushuru. Hii sector tungependa iperform hivi, wacha tusitoze ushuru sana. So it is tied to the budget in the sense that vile nilivyosema tulipokuwa tunaanza, the proposed bill inakuwa expected to raise between 25 billion and 35 billion. And just to emphasize this is very reduced. It's not as much tukicompare na pale 2025 ambayo hiyo finance bill ilikuwa expected to raise 326 billion.
Okay.
Yes.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, nirudi kwa Mheshimiwa Chanzo. Unazungumziaje kuhusiana hii na finance bill ya 2025 ambapo kwa sasa wananchi wanatoa maoni yao kisha warudi tena bungeni? Wewe mwenyewe kibinafsi uliwahi kuwa mbunge, unaizungumziaje swala hili?
Unajua hii maneno ya wananchi kuzungumzia ni kitu muhimu sana kwa maana yale ambayo yanapitishwa itahusu wananchi na tena hao ndio watoaji wa ushuru. Vile nilikuwa nataka, though my brother amesema the views are taken lakini hawachukui hizo views zote. Unajua kama wabunge wangesaidia president even last year, hii maneno hayangefanyika ile ambayo watu walikuwa naenda pale parliament wanafanya. Ndio nilikuwa nasema after this, the person ambaye nilikuwa naheshimu sana, huyu Ndamba Gitonga ambaye alikuwa chairman wa katiba, alisema after 10 years baada ya miaka 10 tunaweza kuangalia kwa hiyo katiba. So nakumbuka iko watu wengi walikuwa nasema sijui 20% si mzuri nini na nini Nataka kupitia kwa kama nyinyi hivi vifaa vyetu vya kutangaza na so on
ndio
muhimize tufanye hiyo, ndio wabunge wakienda all those views are taken. Zisiwe taken only from a few individuals ya kila mtu akiweka na tena nataka ku encourage people wasione kitu ambaye inatokea alafu anasema wanafikiria haijafanyika. Unajua kama saa hii na tena nataka kutumia kama station kama hii, like just like any other station, not because I'm favoring KBC as a national entity lakini unajua unaona hapa these youngsters of ours here. Can I tell you something? Iko watu wengine saa hii bado wako kwa kitanda, najua iko karibu kufika juu. Wengine wako kwa barabara wanapiga stories tangu asubuhi. Mmoja anaongea maneno ya Ruto, mwingine anaongea maneno ya Uhuru,
mwingine anazungumza Homa Bay.
Na ikifika saa 12 jioni wanaenda nyumbani. Wengine wanaenda kuuliza mama ulipika nini? Hawakuacha hapo. Wengine wanauliza bibi. Unaona tuko na hii domestic violence You know, when I moved, like, you know, when I went to Western, I mean, on Thursday, because we were for the prayer, tulikuwa kwa prayer meeting, alafu nikapata habari president anaenda kulaunch hiyo project on Friday. Unajua mpango ilikuwa kwenda kwa ajili ya ya Madaraka Day. But the day when I was here, because tulikuwa tuwe na mkutano UNEP Friday and Thursday, lakini nikasikia, so nilitumia gari because I could not get in the gate. It's very interesting what I saw on the road. So what I'm saying, I want Kenyan to participate, but I want tena MPs wawe serious na kazi yao. Wasiende tu pale, unajua tuko na wengine wanaenda tu pale kwa maana wanataka kupata allowance, but I want them to think seriously the way this country must move, because we are relying on these three institutions: parliament, legislation. You know, hakuna katiba imepeana jukumu mali lingine. We are relying on executive running government institutions like this and so on, and government. We are relying on judiciary kufanya kazi yao vizuri bila hii maneno ambayo tunaongea, maneno ya corruption. Nimekuonyesha kitu kingine hapa, sitaki useme. Lakini umeona hiyo, kama mtu kama mimi sahi nitoke hapa niseme nataka kwenda kununulia somebody like my pastor gari. Surely under mwana salary of 800,000 or 900,000. Is it really fair?
It's not fair. Mheshimiwa, naona tuzunguke upande wa pili sisi tupata taarifa ya habari. Mtazamaji, kwa kweli yamekuwa mazungumzo mufti hapa ndani ya studio na ndugu yangu Yusuf Chanzo aliyekuwa mbunge wa Vihiga na kwa sasa mwenyekiti wa shirika la nyumba nchini, na vile vile pia nimekuwa naye ndugu CPA Dennis Wakaba. Niseme asanteni sana hapa.
Mtangazaji, there is something that you said which is very important. You have repeated it. Over this one I must tell you as a friend, and my friend here and my dears here, because you'll ask me, mtaona siku nyingine mseme. Over Easter, you know, I've been friendly to the president. That's why, apart from being a professional in the building industry, a senior one, you know, I'm a fellow of Architecture Association of Kenya. And now, ile ilifanyika, nilikuwa nyumbani over Easter.
Kwa sekunde tu, watu wakalewa taarifa ya habari, saa 3.
Okay, and then I finish.
Umalize tu tuende zetu.
So watu wakaja huko from Bunyore, you know, we have got Bunyore in Rwanda and Mhaya. Tukawa na
wapi?
Bangladesh mheshimiwa.
Bangladesh ni India mani?
Sio India, hapa hivi Longai mheshimiwa. KWS.
Ndio.
Umeshawahi kuliwa?
Na nani? Kuliwa na nani? Kuliwa na nani?
Na fisi.
nini?
Na fisi.
Bado sijakuliwa na fisi.
Bado. First of all, you have said you are a terrorist.
Hapana, iko terrorist, mimi iko terrorist.
Mheshimiwa Maki hiyo
amesema
mjue hapa mko kwa hatari saa hii.
Sikiza. Amesema yeye ni tourist.
How do you run when the hyena is just there? How can you run?
Si uongee lugha ile utaelewa. Sasa hii kizungu unangangana na
tunaelewana kisungu.
Hakuna kitu tunaelewana.
Kwa nini wakati fisi nimeua fisi ndio mnakuja kunishika? Why?
Hao ni wadudu ambao wanapatikana kwa uchafu. Fisi ni mnyama ambaye analindwa na sheria.
So mimi ni mchafu. You want me to say mimi ni mchafu? Baby face kama mimi ni mchafu.
Angalia nywele yako
nguo
pasi. Hiyo sura yako imekunjana ni baby face.
George Kamau Muhoho joined politics when he left priesthood and ventured into politics in the 1983 polls when he contested and won the Juja parliamentary seat. It is believed that his decision to join elective politics was influenced by the experience of his brother-in-law, Kenya's founding president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Prior to that, Muhoho was ordained as a Catholic priest in 1963 and served the church in various administrative capacities. At one time, Muhoho the priest rose through the ranks of the Catholic Church to serve as private secretary to Pope IV. In addition to service to the Pope, Muhoho was the first black African Pope or envoy to Brussels, Luxembourg, the Council of Europe and NATO. Muhoho left it all behind to enter local politics, and after his win in 1983, President Moi appointed him Assistant Minister for Education, later elevating him to Minister for Tourism and Wildlife in 1987. As Tourism Minister, Muhoho is credited with using his connections abroad to market the country as a preferred tourist destination. Under President Moi, his notable efforts included fighting poaching, especially of elephants in Kenya, which had become rampant in the late 80s. After his cabinet exit, Muhoho, together with Mwai Kibaki, Njenga Karume, and John Keane, founded the Democratic Party DP, and he was very instrumental in ensuring President Mwai Kibaki became president in the 2002 general election. In 2004, President Mwai Kibaki appointed Muhoho as Director General of Kenya Airports Authority (KAA), where he is credited with overseeing the construction of a new modern wing at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and a new airport in Kisumu City. However, in 2008, the Efficiency Monitoring Unit raised questions over the expenditure of 1.7 billion shillings on contracts by KAA. The unit, together with the Inspectorate of State Corporations, revealed the KAA board and management had failed to comply with regulations in the awarding of contracts. He left the position in 2010, after which he joined other members of the Kenyatta family to campaign for Uhuru Kenyatta, who became the fourth president of Kenya. In 2017, Muhoho also campaigned for President Uhuru to retain his seat and eventually left the political stage to oversee the vast Kenyatta family businesses. For the cabinet, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Indeed, you're watching Good Morning Kenya. This is a Health Tuesday. My name is Mike Migwen. We shift gears now and talk about matters to do with the state of dental health care in Kenya. And in studio I'm joined by Dr. David Kahura Mundia, who is the president, Kenya Dentist Association. Welcome to the program.
Asante sana. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, good oral health is paramount to the overall well-being of a person, but also challenges abound, and we are going to delve into that. But from your standpoint, to start off this conversation, how do you see is the state of dental health currently in the country?
Well, thank you. I'll first begin by saying I'm coming from the Dental Association, Kenya Dental Association, to be per se.
Yes.
It's a premier body that represents all dentists in the country. And our work is to champion for the access of oral health care by all persons. And this is to be provided by dental practitioners, that's the dentists, and the other persons that we work with in collaboration to provide this kind of services. Now, what happens in the country over the last 60 years is that we've not had a lot of spotlight on what really goes on in the dental care industry. So the government, as of now, as you speak, it can be argued that it has neglected the good access of oral health care in most parts of the country. And that's why you have dentists being very sparsely distributed. And our work as a professional association is to push for increased access. So we've been speaking to the Ministry of Health, we've been speaking to the Council of Governors, but they are yet to adopt a stance to bring more access to oral health care services. So as we even speak right now, SHA, as you speak, does not cater for that basic package for dental access by most persons in the country. It's only the civil servants who have some limited access towards dental care benefits. So we'd wish to compel the Ministry of Health and the SHA Authority to consider a revision of packages so that Kenyans can access these services. Because dentistry is thought to be a little bit expensive, but it's only expensive because of the neglect that has happened, such that there are very minimal investments in the public healthcare facilities, such that only the private sector seems to be thriving. So if the government was strategic enough and it placed dentists in places of employment and had these facilities well equipped, then you'll have most persons accessing services as they should. So that's where we're headed to, and that's what we're pushing for.
All right. Now, when it comes to statistics, the National Health Survey indicated that over 98%, that is 98.1% of Kenyan adults are grappling with gum disease. What is occasioning this?
Well, gum disease, dental caries, children being affected, adults being affected, the problem is too large, too huge. And the last survey of this burden of disease was done in 2015.
Yes.
That is about 10 years ago. They are planning, the Ministry of Health, through a survey known as the STEP survey, is planning to undertake another study to check and assess the burden of disease and the investments that have happened over that last 10 years. If the investments are minimal, the burden keeps to rise. Now, these issues happen because you don't have many persons knowing well how to take good care of oral health, such that that neglect that happens over 3, 4, 5 years eventually spirals, causes tooth decay and cavitation. And then if the tooth is cavitated and you're not taking good care of your health, the gum in the mouth gets affected. And that's you start having now gum disease. So those are the conditions that need to be managed, because if that doesn't happen, a lot happens down the line. So there is cancers in the mouth, there is a condition that goes spiraling and mixing with other conditions like aspects of pregnancy, aspects of diabetes, which disease conditions are related to the mouth. We even have high blood pressure, being a condition that is related to what is happening in the mouth. So good oral hygiene maintains overall general body well-being, so which is something that must be advocated for.
Yes, I've seen cases where during pregnancy, the expectant mother has dental problems. What is the correlation?
Well, the correlation is simple. You have an expectant mother who probably in the past years has not been taking good care of her teeth. Now, if this was a condition, you end up now having that during pregnancy, you have increased states of high blood pressure. And because you have a bad tooth, and there is a cavity in that area, the tooth starts to sense that there is an exposure to the environment on the mouth. And now the mother senses pain. And that's the time now you start saying, these cavities only happen when I'm expectant. What is really happening? So, but as dental practitioners, we advise that during the first 3 months of your expectancy, attend the antenatal clinics. And you're supposed to be screened in that first 3 months so that if, in case you have any other conditions, the conditions get treated early, rather than waiting until the last trimester. So it's not advisable to wait to suffer until the last trimester because you have a dental cavity or you have a dental issue. Attend to see the dentist early so that you can have a successful, pain-free and peaceful pregnancy period.
When
so that's what we advise for.
Yes, when it comes to dental fluorosis and dental caries, it seems quite a good percentage of adult children are affected. Because we are talking at 41% of children when it comes to dental fluorosis. And also dental caries carry around 41.4% of children. Why is it affecting children so much?
Now, in Kenya, unluckily, geographically, we are situated in the Rift Valley region, whereby during volcanic formations of the rocks around this East African region, our rocks they are formed naturally with a concentration of high fluoride content. So most of the water that comes from the water table has a lot of chemical components, which are now known as fluoride. Now this fluoride leaches into natural water, domestic water, and if it's not well filtered, it's consumed as raw as it is. It can be argued it's not of the best quality. And because most areas in Kenya don't have water, most persons have drilled boreholes. Now this water is consumed as it is. And anyone who uses this kind of water gets affected. That's why you find Nakuru, Naivasha, Ongatarongai, Kisumu, Mombasa, almost most parts of the country, they are affected by the type of water quality they're using. So you'd want to push the county governments, the ones in charge of the water resources, to consider having filtration centers to purify water, not just exactly to purify, to lower the fluoride levels in that water. Because those children, once they are young, they're exposed to that kind of water, they are affected by a lot. Their teeth start to discolor, they become too hardened, they become brittle, and the teeth start to break down. And eventually this now spirals out to bad oral health care, and you go that way into adulthood. So all these things are avoidable by prevention, making sure that persons access safe water quality. All these apartments in most of these towns, they don't have water standards that are supposed to be well regulated. You have the NEMA, not a NEMA authority, the water regulatory authorities, and you have the environmental agencies who are supposed to, by right now, they have already even gazetted the minimum threshold of amount of fluoride that should be in that domestic water. But you find that the public health officers are not doing their jobs to inspect when they're giving the certificates of occupation to these buildings to allow safe water to be used by the residents. So any type of water is sold out there. And that type of water is exposing a lot of persons to the fluorosis menace, which is something that is regulatable and avoidable. So you don't have to incubate a problem by just exposing people to bad water and bad oral health.
So there is a gap in terms of enforcing this regulation?
Enforcement is not happening. All buildings are getting certificates of occupation. Yes, the drainage is okay, but the water to be used in that apartment is not of the standard that is acceptable. So if that is not the case, the owners of the buildings must consider to install reverse osmosis systems or other systems that purify the water so that residents can use quality water that does not jeopardize their dental care.
Yes. From your own assessment, if you're looking at access to dental health care, how would you say, how do you rate the access to dental health care in the country right now?
Well, for now, we'd say the access is very limited, very limited. A few levels 4 facilities, level 5s and level 6s are providing access to dental care. That is the public facilities. And then in the major towns, you are having the private practitioners who are situated there to provide dental care. So the blend of these two areas, the public and private, is still very minimal because even as we're speaking, you have about 2,000 at most dentists in the country. And they are only distributed mostly in the urban centers. This is because in the last 10 years, again, the government, since devolution and after that 5 years, 2015, they have failed to or employed very few dentists in the public sector, where most of the Kenyans go to seek services. Most Kenyans actually visit that public facility near them. And if they don't have a functioning dental facility, they have no dentist, then these persons will probably just go to the private sector, which is a little bit more expensive. So it will be much better if the government, the national, had a directorate of dental care services. Because for now, as we're speaking, we do not have a directorate of dental care services. Dentistry falls under medical services. And as such, it becomes neglected. For many years, it's neglected because it gets very minimal budget, very minimal attention, and the county governments take suit of the same kind of operations, and they also do not advocate for access by majority of Kenyans. So if we change the mindset, created a directorate of dental care services, you'll have more visibility, more installations of infrastructure, more persons getting employed, and more Kenyans accessing these services that are much needed. And we will not keep on struggling with the access to dental care services.
What about the cost?
Now, cost again in public facilities is well subsidized because the government pays the doctors. The government has a way of bringing resources towards access to dental care services, and the services are well priced for them to access. But if you limit access in the public sector, and the only access that is available is the private sector, and persons in the private sector have to import, have to buy everything at very high costs, have to meet all these overheads, then the cost of dental care becomes very expensive. So a balance needs to be done so that costs can become fairly distributed by the government providing its own infrastructure of access to dental care services. That is where we are kind of failing for now.
Okay.
Yes.
In terms of dentist to population ratio, what are we looking at, especially in the country, comparing to the standards of World Health Organization?
Well, the WHO says that we should have at least one dentist per 7,000 persons. Right now we are speaking of a number of about one dentist per 60,000 Kenyans. So that's very low. And that means access is very, very limited. So we have persons who work with us, who help us down at the community level, who are supposed to talk about oral healthcare promotion and prevention. That is to reduce the amount of disease burden, because you cannot have many dentists as much as the population is in that number to meet the need. So sometimes you speak more about prevention to lower the cases, and then the ones who are already affected, they need to go through the curative route and get treated. So we have community oral healthcare practitioners who are supposed to be out at the community levels speaking about what is good oral healthcare. What do you need to do to avoid dental disease, dental caries, cancers of the mouth? What are you supposed to do to avoid all this?
But is there enough penetration of such initiatives?
Yes. Now, in the 1990s, the government had a plan. The way we have a CHP program right now, the CHPs are employed. They are working at the community levels. They're supposed to network with the primary healthcare networks and provide caseloads of patients towards the bigger facilities. The same principle was supposed to be used for the community oral healthcare workers to go and bring these dental care cases from the community levels up the hospitals. But the government dropped the ball. These persons have not been employed for so many years, and these persons have remained out there without doing that job of filtering or minimizing the cases that are coming up. So prevention is very important. And these persons, the community oral health care officers, should be considered by the government to assist the dentists to provide access to oral health care in a seamless and efficient way. So that should be the path of referral.
Yeah. The Kenya Health Facility Census of 2023 indicated that there are only 13% of facilities that provide oral health services in Kenya. This means that there are gaps within that aspect. But how can they be addressed and raise the number or the percentage of the number of facilities that people can use to get dental health?
Okay. About facilities, I would say for now, as per the surveys by the regulator, we have enough. There's a ratio, you can use the facilities with the population. Check the density of distribution.
Yeah.
It has been argued, I could confirm again, that we argue that we have enough medical facilities providing access to care. Now, the quality of care now could be the challenge. Who are these persons in these facilities? Are these facilities manned by dental practitioners or by any other persons who are not doctors? Now, the argument should be, in my view, from the professional point of view, each of these facilities, most as they are, if they do not have a dental practitioner, that is not right. Because now you have other persons who come into the market because they know there's a bigger need. They come in as masqueraders, as quacks. So we have fake dentists or fake persons who claim to be dentists to be providing services. That is causing more harm to Kenyans, and the regulator should move by ensuring that all these facilities, as many as they are, each of them is superintended by a dentist or a dental practitioner who is working with other staff complements to support the access to dental care services. So you have a dental nurse, you have a dental assistant, you have a community oral health care officer, you have a dentist, and you have a dental specialist. Now, a dental specialist is the one on the higher rank of the hierarchy, who in that panel, they provide access to as many specialized services as Kenyans should access. So each of these facilities, level 4s, level 5s, and level 6s, should have all these kind of staff complements to provide access to Kenyans. So the issue of facilities, in my view, it is quite, they may be enough, but the staffing of those facilities is a problem, and Kenyans are suffering by a lot.
As Kenya Dentist Association, have you had cases where you deal with the fake dentists?
Yes.
How have you handled that?
The cases are quite plenty. We are collecting data. On our website, there's a portal whereby Kenyans can go and post complaints of whatever has happened. And if this has happened, they're supposed again to use these complaints, or ourselves as the Kenya Dental Association, forward them to the regulator, which we have been doing. But the regulator, again, we probably have not seen them come out and smoke out these persons. Because if you go to Isili, today as we speak, facts on record, most of the streets in Isili do not have dentists. But most of the streets in Isili have places marked, dental clinic, dental center, dental that. Most of those places, on record I would want to state, they are not dentists. And the regulator is failing on the job by exposing Kenyans to such harm. And it's not just Isili. Most of the urban centers, there are those small outlets that are saying they provide dental care services. So there's a dentist, there's a dental specialist, and then they support staff. So some of our support staff are the ones who mutate out and come out and say, we are dentists as well.
You said there's a dentist and a dental specialist. What's the difference?
Now, the difference between a dentist and a dental specialist is that a dentist has learned the general dentistry. Now, the specialist now is someone who's gone back to school, has done a 3 to 5 years master's program on the different fields of dentistry, because dentistry is so wide. It's only that you only think it's about just the tooth, but it's not about the tooth. There is a dentist for children. They're called a pediatric dentist. So they're specialized in their master's program to just deal with children matters. There's a dentist who deals with only old people. They're called geriatric dentists. There's a dentist who deals with gum disease, just an expert of gum disease. Everything gum, they're the experts. It's another 4 or 5 years master's program. There's a dentist specialty that is caused with the issues of teeth alignment. So you have all these people with teeth that are crooked, teeth that need to be placed in a straight fashion. They're called orthodontists. Another 3 to 5 years master's program. So like now if you move through Nairobi, you will see most people have braces. All these braces, fact on record, they have not been done by orthodontists. They have been done by any person who just go, they buy these things, stick them in people's mouth. They are not trained on how to do it, and they do not even follow up on cases. So most Kenyans are exposed to harm that is not regulated, and outcomes that should not happen because the market is on free fall. No one is doing the right thing. We also have other specialists like a prosthodontist. This is a dentist who works with teeth replacement. If you happen to miss a tooth or something, probably you're elderly, you've lost all the teeth, they fabricate teeth in your mouth, new sets, so that you can continue functioning and you can enjoy having a good quality of life. There's also another dentist who works with oral cancers, surgeries, tumors, anything on the face, cosmetic work. They're called maxillofacial surgeons. So I'm in that field of maxillofacial surgery, where I did my general degree in basic general dentistry, and went further to do now the surgical aspects of dentistry. There's another dentistry type of practice which is known as cosmetic dentistry. These are people now who are into looks. Do you want your teeth whitened? Do you want your teeth glitters? What exactly do you want? So they're trained again in that particular field. So all these fields of training take about 7 to even 10 years of mastery.
Yes.
And that is the standard of dentistry that we should be practicing in Kenya.
So for a person who has teeth problems and they go to a place, they see a sign, dentist, and they think this one will sort my problems, but they do not know if they are qualified or not. How do you tell one is a qualified dentist?
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, the way it goes, if I put on a white coat, even you, if you put a white coat today and you say you're a doctor so-and-so, you probably would pass. But they have devised a system, like an SMS system with USSD code, or they can ask you your name and search on the portal, on the Kenya Medical Practitioner Dentists Register, and search this person. So if they find that this person is not registered, they're supposed to make a complaint. But some of the times you'll find that these quacks will probably go by someone else's name, or probably just print a fake ID and misrepresent themselves that they're claiming to be the other person. But they're not trained on the job. All they want is your money, because you're willing to pay, and they'll offer you a very low price to attract you, and that becomes a game of sustainability. So all ourselves as Kenyans, what we should do is to always ask, are you qualified? Check, give me your ID, check on the register, or probably verify among the networks of your colleagues as patients, or even with other doctors. Again, as a professional society, we are moving forward again to have another double kind of registration check, so that Kenyans can verify who is a real dentist. Because that game is not right the way it is happening around here.
Yes. Now, when it comes to dental health in Kenya, and now we have the rollout of the universal health care, how do you see it likely addressing matters to do with dental health care?
Well, SHA was launched in 2024, 1st of October. And when it was getting launched as a professional society, we did protest that UHC was moving without the mouth. And world over, even last year, the WHO spoke categorically that we cannot have UHC with the mouth being an absentee of that scheme. The mouth is part of the body, and there's no way the mouth can exist outside the body. So all universal healthcare coverage programs must consider services of the mouth. And that's why speaking today as SHA has not created a package of dental care services. And you'd want to compel, possibly, as a new CEO comes in on board, or SHA, to consider formulating that benefits and tariffs advisory panel to provide access and coverage of dental care services by Kenyans, at least to some extent, because persons are greatly affected, and they're all contributing towards this particular fund. So you cannot just contribute to the fund to benefit medically, body-wise, but the mouth is not benefiting. So that's not UHC. That's another kind of thing which should not be the case. So the movement is no UHC without oral health care. And that's not my statement. That's a statement by the WHO. Yes.
So as Kenya Dentist Association, how would you want it incorporated in a way that you feel now this addresses matters to do with dental health care?
Well, we have about 13 million households in the country, they say, from the last surveys they've done when they were setting out from NHIF to SHIF. And a package that caters for at least 4 persons in the household should be designed. Well, they have experienced persons who, through the economic interests, they can allocate through the risk modeling again, how much each of these households should get. So it can be maybe 20,000, 30,000 per household as a limit, as per package. The way they've said renal is 750,000, or cancer is 500,000, or ICU is 28,000. The same way risks can be modeled, and each household gets an allocation towards their benefit. And that can be consumed in that 1 year. And then the access can be from either level 3s all the way to level 6s for all Kenyans to enjoy parts of their contribution. So these levies should not just disappear with the mouth not being taken care of. And like I said, the mouth has a relationship with cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and many other conditions. And all these conditions have better outcomes when the mouth is well taken care of. So if the mouth is not well taken care of, your diabetes will go bad.
Yes.
Your cardiovascular conditions will go bad. Other conditions will also go bad. So the mouth is a very important component of that body.
Now, you spoke about something to do with preventive and curative dental care models. But how do we incorporate the preventive care model more than the curative one? How could that work out?
Okay. Well, the way the country has its systems of levels 1 to level 6 is kind of referral.
Yeah.
At levels 1, 2, 3, those are the primary care centers. And with our community oral health care officers functioning at those points, they're able to filter, go to the communities and educate. It's all about education.
Yes.
So we have young mothers. You have women attending the mother and child clinics. But there's no one to speak about oral health care. Most of someone who's at least more competent about these things. We have school programs. Children should be spoken to about these oral health care conditions early, so that the prevention and the discipline of taking good care of their mouth starts early. So if these programs were kept to be undertaken by the Ministry of Health or the different county governments, you have more cases of prevention, because dentistry is all about preventing. If you minimize the amount of sugars that you're taking, you'd brush your teeth regularly at least 2 times in the morning, and at least once a year do a checkup. Then you'll probably be very safe and not be exposed to dental care conditions. But then there's other aspect of cancers. Now, cancers of the mouth. These are issues that are coming about from habits. Like areas in Embu, Meru, persons around that region, they're taking a lot of mira,
yes,
mogoka, and the pesticides that they're using to spray these crops, they can be educated about it so that they don't get affected by these chemicals. Because as much as they're getting affected, we're having rising cases of oral cancer. Smoking again, alcohol. These are things that are associated with oral care, oral cancers. So if we did a lot of prevention and education of the masses, persons will understand what causes dental care diseases or oral health care conditions, and they'll become low. And whenever they happen, there's that referral network. Do a referral note, refer them to the next level facility, where they'll meet a dentist or a dental specialist, and their services will be addressed or matters as they are. Yes.
Now, as we come to a close, in terms at policy level, what needs to change in order to ensure that there is equitable access to dental health care in both urban and rural settings?
Okay. Firstly, I'd want to speak about the regulatory aspects. For a long time, dentistry has not been well regulated, in my view, and in the view of the professional society that I'm representing. And we feel that it's time we had a pure regulatory body of dentists and other support staff that were working in that field. So that things are well ordered in a way that they're able to do that access and that promotion of oral health care services. So if that was done, then it'd be much easier. Because for a long time, it's been like only medics, the medical doctors, have a bigger scope and what they do, such that the dentists have become like forgotten practitioners. So regulatory practices, we need to consider a change. So the dentists and the allied support staff can all be regulated in a one way, which promotes more access and more training of this particular kind of persons. The other things that have happened is the ministry, the reorganization of the ministry, such that dentistry comes out as a pure directorate, so that services can be promoted much better, budgets can be well done, and more services can be put out there from the national to the county governments for Kenyans to access. Because as we're speaking right now, dentistry falls under medical services. Somewhere in there, we have pharmacy as a directorate, we have nursing services as a directorate, and these ones are kind of doing well. But for dentistry to be hidden down there, it needs to come out and run at par because of the years of neglect that has happened. So those are some of the things that we need to consider. The other things to do is to increase or improve the infrastructure of training. We only have 2 universities, Moi University and University of Nairobi, training dentists in the country. So if these universities were well supported, their infrastructures get updated, we'll have more dentists coming out and more access to quality dental care services. We have KU, we have Maseno, we have Mount Kenya University, we have Strathmore University. All these universities can be supported by the government or through PPP programs for them to come up and design dentistry programs. That is the Bachelor of Dental Surgery. And you have more persons coming out, well qualified to offer the best care that is Kenya that Kenya should access.
Yes. Thank you so much, Daktari, for coming to talk about the state of dental health in Kenya.
Karibu sana.
Yes, that is Dr. David Kahura Mundia, who is the president of Kenya Dentist Association, speaking to us on matters to do with dental health. This is where that conversation ends, but before I leave you, I will leave you with a story here about the 8th session of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. The natural disasters such as flash floods, mudslides and heat waves have become increasingly frequent in recent years, largely due to climate change and environmental degradation. These threats endanger both human life and natural ecosystems. On the second day of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in 2025 in Geneva, Switzerland, delegates are discussing strategies to strengthen resilience and enhance disaster preparedness. Our Channel 1 producer Bernard Timbe, who is attending at the conference, filed the following report.
We are today at the 8th session of Global Platform for DRR in Geneva.
It is the first global platform since the midterm review of Sendai Framework took place in 2023. It's been 10 years since the adoption of the Sendai Framework. So this is a good time to take stock of how far we have come and how far we need to go and how.
This is the opportunity that we have to actually share knowledge with each other from all over the world, and to come up with approaches and methodologies that are fit for purpose for each and every community that we're needing to build resilience and reduce vulnerability on. Without the global platform, it will be very difficult for us to find coherent strategies and to also have a platform where all voices can be heard. From the Pacific community, we are here and we're being heard, and though the colleagues from Africa are also here to also be heard, and the global South and the global North can actually meet in this environment.
Say is Africa. Why is Africa present at this very high-level conference? It is important that some of the voices, what we do today in the African continent, is known. And you must know, when we talk of disasters, disasters know no boundaries. They touch each and every part of the world. And Africa, being a continent in the global South, is particularly focused and is of our key interest today to come to this meeting, know what is going on, know what is available, to scale up all the efforts they have been doing, so that, of course, we can act today and for a better resilient world and for a better resilient Africa.
What is different about this 8th session of the global platform? For the targets that we are not meeting under Sendai, there is a renewed sense of urgency and really concrete action towards achieving those. So if you look at 7 Sendai targets, we are doing okay on reducing mortality. We are doing okay in terms of numbers of plans and strategies for disaster risk reduction. Access to early warning has improved. But on other targets, like reducing the number of people affected, which means fewer houses destroyed, fewer livelihoods lost, we have not done well. Reducing economic losses, we have not done well. Reducing infrastructure losses, we have not done well. So how do we use the remaining 5 years to infuse a sense of urgency into achieving these?
Poor communities, whether they're from a large continent or small geographical territorial areas, are vulnerable in the same way when it comes to disaster risk reduction. But Africa, on the other side, has the opportunity to build its resilience based on better looking after and economically building from its natural resources.
We have to mobilize resources for disaster risk reduction from all possible angles. Whether it is the national budgets, whether it is private capital, whether it is climate finance, whether it is risk transfer solutions, overseas development assistance, from all sources. We really have to bring it all together to serve the disaster risk reduction needs of communities and countries that are at risk.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
It is time to create lifelong memories, time to write our own history, and it is time to give a blow-by-blow account of each football match played right here in Africa. This is just the start of something very special.
Against Mamadou Sy for Algeria to stay in the penalty shootout. And it is Senegal who claim the title as Guendouzi strikes the woodwork.
You don't want to miss this classy treat, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Staying fit and healthy is as important today as it's ever been. Today, we're all about smartwatches and fitness trackers and living a healthier life with wearables. If you need that little extra motivational push, get in gear for Shift. Oftentimes, the sleeker and more comfortable alternative to clip-on heart rate trackers is the smartwatch. For many, they are a lifestyle product, but in the medical world, they have the potential to be a lot more than just that. How well do they work, and do medical experts take them seriously? We got the chance to meet someone with first-hand experience, Sasha Nivelle, whose smartwatch might have just saved his life. Sasha Nivelle's smartwatch went above and beyond recently. It prevented a possible stroke. He was using it mainly for sports. When it noticed irregularities in his heartbeat, Nivelle knew to act. But when he visited the doctor, he was given the all clear.
I went to the cardiologist, who performed a long-term ECG, but didn't find anything. I thought it was an error, so I switched off the alarm because it was kind of annoying.
That could have had serious consequences for the 48-year-old, because the smartwatch was right. A second ECG at Bonn University Hospital confirmed what the gadget had picked up.
The standard ECG then revealed that I have something called atrial fibrillation. I was asked several times in the cardiology department why my watch hadn't sounded the